This broadcast is brought to you by Logitech G, Motorsport Australia, Play Seat, The Gamesman, OG Gear, SimSpeed TV, Speed Cafe, and the Australian Sim Racing Group.
Hi guys, Lockie Dalton here from Tickford Racing. We're in our Wildcard Gen 3 car. Something really cool, what we've got here is our MPI sim wheel. So configured with our Logitech button box. As you can see, it is identical to our Gen 3 wheel. Really cool for the sim world and the supercar world as well. Can't wait to get home and use this. As you can see, you can nearly configure this exactly the same as we would have our supercars. So exact same material, something I'm really keen for.
We are gaming fanatics. Our goal has never been to just play games. We think it's much better to feel like you're actually in the game. This feeling is what drives us as we create world-class gaming chairs. Our one aim, give you a brand new gaming experience. Help you move in perfect sync with everything on screen. Make sure you're having a ton of fun. It took us decades to achieve this, and we're still not satisfied. Every day, we wake up to get better. We'll never stop designing the very best to help you be your best. When it's all said and done, our job's only done if you're in full flow and focused on your victory. May you win, and win big.
Hello and welcome to a little bit of the Spanish summer. This is a circuit Jerez, Angel Nieto as well, located in Jerez de la Frontera in the Andalusian region of Spain. This is round 7 of the 2025 Logitech G Pro Invitational Championship Series. And ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a tyre melter. And that is probably the most appropriate term we're going to be coming through here tonight. Hello and welcome. It's Scotty Rankin alongside of Mr. Stephen Sandman Clark. I'll tell you what, mate. Last year we came to this venue. It was tough. It was tricky. But the big thing that we talked about was tyres. Well, the script's been changed a little bit for us tonight. We're going to be talking about tyres, but one pit stop is likely all we'll see.
Absolutely. Good evening, Scotty, and good evening, everyone, wherever you're watching around Australia or, in fact, around the world. That's it. Tyres are the talk of the town at the moment because temperatures here are going to get hot. They're already starting to climb as the drivers are in practice at the moment. And like you said, it's scrapping the two-stop compulsory pit stop. So they can pit as many times as they want. But technically, you probably only need to pit once for enough fuel, but people are going to be screaming about rubber. So we don't have a lot to talk about here in the G Hub tonight because it's basically all about pit stops. So 34 laps on a tank of fuel roughly is a margin to get you to pit stop. Tyres. Now, like I said, we're talking about the tyres. When it's actually hit, stopper. So you're looking at 17 laps. So that's what people are going to be thinking about if we happen to get a safety car. Not sure how we'll go with a safety car around here. This is a brilliant racetrack for our supercars and absolutely love these cars around here. It's only our second visit, like you touched on, Scotty, and I think we're up for some great racing, and it's all going to be about tyres, baby.
Yeah, it is. Like we said, what is the reason for removing that compulsory pit stop? Well, we've already tinkered with shrinking the fuel tank. Naturally, most of the way throughout the season, we've run with what we call our regular size fuel tank. 70% of the maximum. That's been equivalent to about 93 litres. Well, tonight, they've given them the whole hog. They have the full 100% of the fuel tank. That is 133 litres that you can carry on board the Gen 3 supercar. That is going to take, like we said, 34 laps of a maximum to get your way through. Fuel drop to get out the other side, somewhere in the realm of 60 to 65 litres to get home with a little bit of saving. If you're looking after your tyres, you're probably going to save some fuel in there as well. The big critical number, and this is something I've heard from a couple of different people, is somewhere around lap 28 to lap 30. The tyres, they literally just blow up. That's it. Meatball flag you'll be seeing because the tyre has actually blown. Qualifying's coming our way in about 5 minutes time, and the race distance tonight, 51 laps at 225 kilometers, down a few extra laps on where we were last year. Ran about 250 kilometers or 57 laps in 2024. Only the second journey to this circuit. And I tell you what, there is a beautiful watching dome that you can actually see all the action through. We've got some shots from inside of that one here tonight on the start finish straight, just to give you a little bit of the elevation change. Looks quite a flat circuit, but there is some rise and some fall. Where are we though in terms of the calendar? We have now polished off more than halfway in terms of the rounds. However, we do still have a couple of endurance races to come our way. That TBA, are we going to get Adelaide in time? Or do we have to commit to the Bend Motorsport Park? Still to come, details-wise, on our final round of the championship. We've got one more round after this one in terms of sprint formats, and in fact, that is going to be a super sprint round, which we'll see the same format as what we saw all the way back at Detroit Belle Isle. And then it's on to the Enduros to finish us out with that final round. Still details to be announced. I can't believe we're already through all of the sprint rounds for the year. We've got super sprints to go here, Sam, and here's the championship table as well.
Yeah, and this is where it gets a bit juicy. But you think about, we go back 12 months and we think about the point where Jared Filsell kind of looks the same. Yes, second, third, fourth. Everyone else that's have been a little bit jumbled up. But Jared Filsell going into the Enduros was our championship leader, left Bathurst, and then he missed out on the championship, had an absolute drama. And didn't pretty much got a DNF with no points. So that is going to be something that'll probably be playing on his mind a little bit. But, you know, everyone else has that opportunity to have huge gains at the Enduros, and no doubt everyone will be excited about them coming up soon.
Yeah, that's what we got to look forward to. More points on offer as well. Andrew Gilliam's been one of the drivers. Finally, we got our third race winner of the season. Second driver not named Jared to win a race in 2025. And then it's the rest of the chasing pack. Have a look at Rattray White's having the season of his life. Came into this one struggling just to stay inside, managed to eclipse things at the end of last year and stay inside the top 20, guaranteed himself back. Now he sits inside the top 4. That jumper teams, and remember, there's a working partnership between the Chief Sim Sports Club and the Eclipse Sim Sports outfit. He's the one that's benefited the most out of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we touched on it a little bit too in the qualifying series, whether, you know, how Eclipse would go when they, you know, take it to everyone else in the Pro Series throughout the season, and they've done a remarkable job. But this is the telling point, isn't it? When we start thinking about the halfway point of the season, it's being sure that you're inside that top 20, so you automatically advance for 2026.
Yeah, and have a look at the guys that are running the bubble. Wayne Burke's had a phenomenal run of results of late. Dylan Pereira, though, think about blowing that engine. If he'd have started a long way forward, could he have been inside the top 10 last time out at Road America? Could he potentially be on the inside? Bo Albert was on the outside late on in the season last year, managed to qualify through, very strong finish at Spa as well, also brought him inside the 20. Capel also making ground this year. He was nowhere even near close to that line last season. This season, he's only just below it. Could he make his way in? And crucially worthwhile knowing, Robbie Gibbs, after missing 2 races, still inside the top 20. That's how strong his season 2025 was going. Remember, he's not here for the rest of the season. He's done. So he will fall outside of that 20 and somebody else will walk their way in. That's important to us because that number 20 spot, those top 20 drivers, automatic ticket back for 2026. Should you want to be here? What does the track map look like that we're going racing here tonight? It's going to be the moto configuration from the Circuito de Jerez. There is a chicane option in the final sector, but we're going to be looking to keep the pace high. Down here in the south end of Spain, almost all the way across to the Portuguese border, but it's right there on the Straits of Gibraltar as well. There is a lot of beautiful coastline. Also makes a great sherry in this region as well, for those of us who might want a glass at the end of tonight's proceedings. And that's the dome that you can see right there in the middle of that shot. We're looking for on the run up the hill to turn number 1, down through 2 and 3, flick back really, really tight and technical. That is going to be a slow run through those corners on the opening lap. And it's fast and flowing through 4, up and over the crest at 5, down the hill into dry sack at 6, very slow hairpin as well. Again, fast and flowing. Critically, turn 9 on the surface. Have a look at it. Looks like a 90-degree corner. It's significantly more than that. It really doubles back on itself. It's a lot slower than you think. Lukey at 10. Down through 11, that's the chicane that we talked about. Ferrari at 12, very fast and flowing. Then you got to pull it up. And one of the corners that's not necessarily on that track map, but will be one of the most critical tonight, is that pit lane entry, Sandman. There's a green line on the end, inside edge of the racetrack. You touch that, you're going to be sat in the naughty corner for a little while.
Yeah, absolutely. The penalty is incredible. So I'm hoping that a lot of these drivers and teams are well aware of that because... yeah, the slightest touch on the green painted section, we'll get a shot of it a little bit later, but that pit lane entry is going to be absolutely crucial, and it's tight too. So you look at the speed that you're carrying through 10, 11, 12 into that pit entry, it's, you know, you've got a fear of, I guess, washing out and maybe understeering and carrying too much pace, but if you cut that corner a little bit, yeah, trouble awaits.
Yeah, that it will be, and it's a 40-second stop and hold for an unsafe pit lane entry is the way that they talk about that one. It's one of the harshest on the sim, on the service. And the big thing was last year, we had a lot more grip coming our way. We are just about to jump across to qualifying. We'll have a little bit of a chat, and we've been checking in with our drivers each and every week on the run through the championship of late. Questions this time, though. What manufacturers do you rate? Who's your favorite manufacturers? And this is what the drivers had to say on this one. Dylan Pereira was a big Chevy fan. He goes Chevrolet over Ford, then Toyota. And he thinks that the manufacturer of Toyota joining us in the real world next year will provide an added dynamic. Hugely fun if the cars prove different on iRacing. Jacob O'Reilly also keen to see Toyota, but he ranked Toyota last. He's a Ford fan over the Chevy. Toyota coming in. Wayne Burke, also really good to see the Toyota joining us. Captures the mid-30s fanboy car vibe. Again, placing that Toyota last, but I think the big thing in that we're reading from all those drivers, Sam, brand love. Ford and Camaro have built that brand awareness and brand love in Australia. Toyota have got some work to do, but I don't feel they're going to be too far away, particularly given it's the Supra we'll be receiving in the supercars.
You know, fan love has been a huge part of our sport. It's been the heartbeat of our sport. You were either you bled red or you bled blue. That was basically the bits and pieces of it. And then, of course, you know, supercars went through a change where we had Mercedes and Volvo and Nissan and all that take part as well. But it's always been, you know, your Chevrolets and your Ford, you know, Holden back in the day. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. Definitely something that the series is probably going to enjoy. Yeah, and it should be an interesting 2026. I can't believe that we're not too far away from actually having Toyota on the grid.
Right, and it'd be very, very cool to see the Supra. I'm so excited to see the Supra back in operation. And the only point I had on that one is, gee, I'd love to see us Toyota Supra GT3. Lexus and Toyota are working to bring us a GT3 car, but unfortunately it's going to be the Lexus, the upper classy model, which I think is a missed opportunity. But the less said about that, the better. But for our fans watching along at home, this is again where we ask you for your input. How do you rank the three manufacturers that we'll have on the grid in 2026? Does Toyota move to the top? For me, it did. And apparently, I'm one of the very, very few.
Yeah, I think performance-wise, I think that, you know, we've always been very much Chevrolet dominance of late, and that's basically surrounding one team, and that's Triple Eight. Triple Eight are moving to Ford next year, so I don't doubt for a second that they'll pretty much pick up exactly where they've left off, and they'll be a very strong force come next year. So it's probably going to have a Ford dominance. I don't know how dominant the Toyota will be, but it'll be interesting nevertheless.
Somebody else to rank the manufacturers over on YouTube just said Ford. That's it. So none of the other manufacturers even going to look in. Dylan Rudd's going to be our first car to fire off down towards turn number one and get through his qualifying lap tonight. Damon Woods will be the next car in behind him, Brady Myers and Rick Kuznetsov. So we're going to have a nice bundle of drivers up towards the pointy end of this one. They're just about all through the final corner. And the big thing I noted walking into this one was how slow the outlap was. There was no heat in the tyres. Everything you could do to prevent heat getting into those tyres on the outlap, whereas the last few rounds have been chasing a little bit of heat in the front tyres.
Yeah, isn't that funny? You know, everyone loves the heat in the tyres except for today. So you said everyone's babying them and they don't want to put anything because they probably feel that on a hot lap, 3/4 of the lap round, they're going to be sort of screaming almost temperature-wise. So they need to make the most of it, have that gentle outlap, and make the most of that brand new Dunlop rudder that they've got going to the track on this lap.
And I did hear a lot of chatter about marbles, so we'll be talking about those. This is one of the tracks where it could be massively impactful just because of the amount of time where we are expecting it to be heavy tonight. We'll learn more about it in the near future when we get into the race, but at the moment, Dylan Rudd is about 3/4 away from setting the first qualifying lap if he can stay within track boundaries and slides the rear tyres as well. So he is pressing on. Damon Woods is in the background, might have made a little bit of gain. Did the 56 Eclipse Sim Sports machine at the moment, trying to catch him back up, slide it all the way down through 11 and 12 through Ferrari. Final hairpin. Can you get the car turned back on itself? Can you get it pointed? Can you get the drive out the other side? Very short run back up the hill. And have a look at Damon Woods trying to get the power down lower in the gears. All of that torque is just going to spinning rear tyres. And for Dylan Rudd, sort of 144.2. Damon Woods just beats him by 0.5 of a second, moves ahead of him. And now we watch and wait for the time start to fall. How about the time for Rick Kuznetsov? Nice and early in the session. He goes quick. James Scott as well. Temperatures are starting to climb as well. This might be the only opportunity to get a golden lap in.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that because I was having a look at practice times a little bit earlier and they were in the 43s, almost in the 42s. So, and here we are seeing these guys putting 44s down for the moment. So Phil Sell now has done a 43.8. He goes to the top of the timesheet. So you can see there's already that big significant swing in the times at the moment. Luke Rosella, P2.
Yeah, so two Lobs cars. He manages to roll out a 44, nearly dead, 001 for him. Jake 92.029. He jumps a long way up the standings. Who's that that's managed to jump in there? Well, it's only Lobs cars at the top, and immediately TTR, I'll have something to say about that. Madison down goes to P3 on the timing tower right now. So here we go. Times are shuffling all about. But the critical thing is 47.2 degrees Celsius track temp. It is due to get into the 50s when we get across to the race in just a few minutes time at the back end of qualifying. 15 minutes remain. We're already a third of the way through Q, and time is running out, and that might have been already the best of the conditions. You had to get it done very early in this session.
Yeah, and we talk about one, hold on to it there, Tiger. Oh, it's just grabbing as much as you can. But yeah, it's basically definitely one lap and you're done. So it's everyone's firing straight back to the pits, and you know they've got their bankers down 43.8 for Phil Sell. So that's got to be what everyone's chasing. But that top three covered by less than a tenth. It's pretty close throughout the field, and everyone will be desperate to have a second crack at it before it even starts to get warmer again.
A lot of people having issues with getting into the pit lane, so it's already started with making sure that you're nice and tidy on the approach into pit lane. The other thing I was talking to a few of the different teams and drivers about, this is the camera that we'll be using to see who's very accurate at the pit lane entry. That would be Brian Borg, who is a touch on the outside of it. That's one of the Lobs cars that's okay. That car's okay. I think that's Tyson Broad that's just gone through. Veld and one of his teammates a little bit wide. There's a lot of time to be gained and lost here. You can lose significant amounts if you're just on the inside of that white line.
Yeah, and you can see there was already in that shot there a couple of cars that scrub out a little bit understeery towards the end there. So you obviously want to get through as quick as you can, but stay away from that painted green section. If a tyre touches that, you find yourself in all sorts of hurt. So huge penalty. I don't know that the penalty suits the crime, but nevertheless, if everyone's aware of it, it's the same for everyone else.
Yeah. And well, that's the punishment. So, you know, how much margin are you willing to work with on your way into and out of the pit lane? Right there, track temp's just risen about another half a degree as well, so it continues to go away from us at the back end of this session. And you can already see little steps in that graph. It is just continuing to climb, and it will continue to climb across the remainder of this session. Big thing I was talking to Jack Wittes and Brian Borg about. I actually got the opportunity to jump in and sort of watch some of their practice sessions and their preparations, setup discussions. The biggest thing that all of them said about the car was it just feels like a qualifying car early. And effectively, the terminology is a lot of rotation in the rear end. So why do you want that on a qualifying car? Well, you turn it, you point it at the corners, it drives off really, really quickly. You're not too worried about looking after the tyre. Why don't you want that in the race? Destroys tyres.
I'm just looking at the times and having a look at timesheets. Concerns are probably where Josh Anderson is at the moment. And we saw this at the last round where he really struggled to get a banker in. And for the moment, he finds him, look at that, way back in 23rd position. He's currently P3 in our championship. Another one, Zach Rattray White, who's currently P4, he finds himself back in 16th. So those two guys are going to be definitely on the marker as far as trying to improve their track position. Because obviously this is the easiest way to gain track position is if you can punch out a decent lap in qualifying, you don't have to worry about passing cars on the racetrack. So that'll be something that these guys will be very, very wary about, but especially Anderson. And it was interesting to have a talk with him last week, or the last round, I should say, and how much he thought he was struggling, and he didn't think his times were going to be anywhere good, and he even aborted one of the laps that probably would have done him the business. So I think as long as he's not too careful and gets the power to the ground properly, he can improve his positions pretty much from where he is at the moment.
But I think the biggest thing that came out of him was how much he's struggling for confidence and how critical, you know, he was so close to just throwing it all away. And I've been there. I actually was talking to a member of the community who was at the venue actually over the weekend at Sydney Motorsport Park, where unfortunately we lost a member of the Australian motorsports community. One of the pieces of advice, you know, because that's something that my family's been around as well in motorsport, is that don't make any rash decisions. Don't make any decisions based upon those sorts of things, because if I had, I would have sold my motocross bikes like 3 or 4 times just when things just weren't going your way. So it's always, you know, be smooth, be consistent. That confidence will come back. Righto, Damon Woods is going to be the first driver of this second group, and I've been keeping an eye on this lap of his, by the way. It's not looked tidy. He's missed the apex at turn 1. He missed the apex at turn 3. I'm halfway expecting him to maybe abort this lap at the back end here. That might have been an off track on the inside of the second to last corner. Well, he's continuing on with it. So there must be something going on with this lap. So he's at least going to have a crack. The next car in picture will be Dylan Rudd. Remember, these two cars were inverted the last time they came through. But Damon Woods, 1:45.305. So he was 1.2 seconds slower on that.
Yeah. Driver movement here. So Madison down on screen. And I've noticed behind him, Kurt Stenberg, a little bit of purple on the race car tonight. So something a little bit different there from Stenny that we haven't seen previously. So nice to see that they're mixing up a little bit. But Madison down, P3. He's on a lap. And is that... Oh, is that Hobson in front of him?
Looks like it might be. Gold member, as it's referred to.
That's it.
Griffin Gardner's just jumped up and has improved his time for the Cheap Sea Sports Club. Goes to P4 at the moment. Hobson's had a huge moment. Did he get in the way of Madison Down right there? Because Down's on a flyer and he's trying to, and he just tried to keep the foot in it as late as you possibly can. Out of the final corner. Flash of the headlights. Is it good enough? Gilliam's improved and gone to pole position. Not by very much whatsoever. Madison Down does not improve. Do you reckon he lost time in that final sector?
Yeah, look, obviously you didn't get held up, but obviously it would have been a heart starter for him because it would have grabbed his attention. Anderson hasn't improved. It'd be interesting to catch an onboard from inside Madison's car just to see what he had to deal with, because it was heart and mouth stuff for us. We know what the end result was, but when you're watching it live, you don't know which way that car was going to go.
I just had a flashback to last year, by the way. We're looking at Ian Ford. Probably one of the moments of the race from Jerez last year was Ian struggling around on the starter motor trying to get that car back to cross the finish line and score points at the back end of it. Here's the moment. Just touched the sand. Did he crack the throttle? He had to have.
Yeah, but you can see he was on the anchors too, because he'd realised he'd obviously made a big mistake. So that lap's custard, and he needs... Look at all the garbage on the racetrack for everyone rejoining here. Look at it. Look at the understeer. You can't get round the racetrack. That part of the racetrack is absolutely terrible as far as all the rocks and gravel that's been brought back onto the racetrack. But just with Hobbo, he was obviously having a massive moment, and he tried to get to pit lane as quick as he can because obviously his lap was gone. So, but Madison lucky to get away with that. But geez, how's the garbage on the racetrack?
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the biggest reasons to go to Spain at this time of year is for the surf and the sand.
Oh my God.
But you're expecting it to be on the beach, not the beach on the racetrack.
What's happening? I'm amazed that there's that much garbage being brought onto the racetrack in that section. But yeah, that's going to take a few laps to clean up, and that might be a factor that people may not be able to improve because of how much garbage is all over the racetrack there.
Well, there's a bunch of cars going through that sector right now. So I'm just hoping that some of it might be cleaned up. There is a racing line. I can tell you through it that's actually not too bad at the moment. So it is clearing slowly.
Imagine 40's going to go. He won't bother with that. I imagine he's going to fire in pit lane. I haven't got a stopwatch on him, but he's been a little bit over the place with this one. Here he is. Oh, look at it. And even in pit lane, oh my goodness, it's like a sand pit.
Well, that would be from Hobson. Some of that would be from Hobson on the way down in there. And what we're hearing is that car that we're following on board with is Ian Ford. And he's actually part of the reason that there was so much junk down on the road at 1, 2, and 3. Here he is on screen, just barely gone on the gravel outside.
But he's on the outside of the race, so he's not even on the racetrack. So it's obviously someone else has come through and smeared it all through the racing line. So Fordy did a great job. That's actually on the outside off the racetrack. So he's done a great job there. But someone else has come through and just made an absolute meal of it. So never mind.
Well, there's some more that's about to get dragged on the racetrack. I think, coming through. So Phil Sell's on a lap right here as a bunch of drivers trying to get out of the way. And remember, it's one of the shorter racetracks here. Phil Sell's he's just going to hit a wall of traffic. This is not going to go well.
Yeah. Look, everyone's still be pretty mindful. They can get out of his way. You can see him flashing the lights, just trying to get their attention. There's still 5.5 minutes, so there's no reason why these guys can't almost come to a stop and get out of the way. And we've seen one do that. Yeah, everyone's doing okay at the moment.
Briggs, most of them have gotten out of the way.
It's still a distraction, though. Even though they're not holding him up, it is a massive distraction. Here, line exit. Look at him.
But the big thing will be, where's that car going to go? Like, is he going to get the racing line when he gets there? Like, That will be the big thing for Jared Filsell, who'll come through the final corner. Run to the start-finish line. This could be the difference between pole and not. And as he gets to the start-finish line, 43.890. I tell you what, he hasn't improved, but it wasn't far away. It was a minor improvement. He improved by about 15 thousandths of a second at the end of that. James Scott, though, is on an absolute tear, we're hearing at the moment, has just gone purple in Sector 1. So he is trying to throw a case down here. At the moment, his best lap time of 44.051 is about 2.2 tenths away from pole position at the moment.
Okay, that's good news because now we know that the track's actually cleaned up. So thankfully there's enough of a racing line now through that garbage that people are actually finding time on this part of the racetrack now. So James Scott, can he improve on 8th? He's trying to chase down his time of 44.0. 43.835 is Gilliam for pole.
No, not good enough.
He's
And there's a
boarded.
Ryan Jones, I think, off in the background. By the way, track temp's nearly 49 degrees, so it's gone up massively at the back end of this session. 4 minutes left, so you've got to get out there now-ish, as soon as you possibly can. Get out there and start trucking around on your warm-up lap. There will be enough time, actually, if you fire out now. Griffin Gardner, this might be his last opportunity to improve on that lap time. Fires it down through the last couple of corners. He is on a lap. No, he's also going to abort, so the time's not there at the moment. It's gone away from him. Lights it up on the way in, too. Luke Rosella. Qualifying's been the thorn in his side thus far throughout the season. On for P4 here at the moment. Could this finally be his first opportunity to settle himself into that top 5 and run away with it? He's driven through the field on a number of occasions, but needs to start more towards the front. Comes through, finishes off the flying lap. It will be an improvement for Luke Rosella. Jumps his way up. 1, 2, 3 lobs esports cars. And Zach Rattray White gets shuffled down to P4. 2 thousandths of a second in that second row of the grid at the moment. And Madison Downs has gone through and jumped on top of the pair of them. Andrew Gilliam's gone faster. He'll go back to pole position. He will improve.
43.814. Looking down the timesheets, I think about 29th is Anderson. He is not finding any time at all.
Jordan Ross nearly sets 2 back-to-back identical lap times. 1,000th of a second between his 2 laps. At least he's consistent.
That's it. Yeah, but this could be a big day for points as far as Anderson. This could hurt him big time. If he finds himself, at this stage, he's almost going to be outside the top 30 if he doesn't improve. So he'd be heart and mouth stuff now and knowing that he's only got 1 more lap to try and improve.
Yeah. And something's just going on with Jared Filsell, I believe, as well. Just heard him on the radio. No, there was an accidental button press from him. He's attempting to communicate with somebody else.
Third. That wasn't already noticed. I didn't notice that he upset the 1, 2, 3 for the boys.
Yep, stuck in there, late on.
Yeah.
Needs to be rolling around. You've got to be in the back half of the lap about now. Probably coming off the hairpin any time from now to get another flying lap in. Because remember, you've got to leave enough on the tyre to get the lap together. Madison Down will be done. There's not enough time to get out of the pit lane. Just watching Andrew Gilliam's in the final sector as well, but he'll be diving back to pit lane. Yeah, so there'll be a bunch of those drivers. Their qualifying sessions will be done. Which means the track will probably be the most empty right at the back end of this session, which will be the last opportunity to get out there and have a crack at the lap. So Down's in, Rosella's in. They're both done for the day. I believe Andrew Gilliam will also be done for qualifying. James Scott at the moment. This will be a critical lap. Needs to be put together at this point in time. Have a look at the amount of cars that are now into that lane and their qualifying sessions are done.
Using the most of the track there that he can. His last hot lap, you touched on it, he put down a purple sector 1, but he's having his best shot at the moment. I don't know if he's improved on that at the moment at this stage, but he had to abort that fast flyer and unfortunately didn't get to improve on his P8 time of a 44.0. But like you said, the track's at a point where there's probably the least amount of cars there's been on it all session, but it is getting hotter.
Here we go. Final dying stages of qualifying. Zach Rattray White as well as feeding off the final corner as we speak. And I believe he's just starting a flying lap, so he will have 1 more shot to try and improve as the track temperature continues to skyrocket, now up to about 49.5. Checkered flag is going to wave. Anyone who's starting a lap right now won't count. I think there's about 13th spot, which will be Jacob O'Reilly's just fed off, so I don't think he'll get there. Sebastian Vandel definitely did not. So the final driver will be Tao Sorono, by my imagining, to try and get a lap in. James Scott won't get there. Neither will Ryan Jones, as both of them run off and into the gravel, entering to the pit lane. And Matthew Bowler will join them.
Anderson's improved. He's jumped up to P12, so he'd be breathing a sigh of relief right there. To be outside the top 30 and now find himself in P12, he'll take that.
Yeah, so that will be some margin, but there is drivers on a lap. One of those is on screen at the moment. Jake Maloney is ahead of him, so can't knock his teammate further down. But for Maloney, lines it up out of the final corner. What's it going to be? 43.946 for him. He will jump up to P6, grabs one spot after about a 10th worth of improvement on that lap time. It's only over Griffin Garner, so the rubber that's getting laid down is improving the track state at the moment. Jack Wittes is going to fire off the final corner and have a look at the rear end and the attitude of that race car as he tries to get the power applied to the circuit without spinning the tyres. Will there be an improvement on the final lap? By the look of that, no, there will not be. Brent Hobson also won't improve on his final lap. Obviously mistake in the final sector for him. Jake Blackhall leads in the pit lane, and current pole sitter, can he improve on the lap time? Rattray White will not improve on his lap. Gilliam will fire off. You know what? I think he'd already completed his qualifying session, so he's back out there for a practice start or something similar. Brady Myers will also come out of the final corner, 14th spot for him, one of our race winners in 2025, a little bit deeper than he would have liked, and qualifying not going his way. Can he crack into the 43s on his final attempt? And it looks like there'll be no improvement for Brady Myers. Hayden Veld's going to miss pit lane and show to us what she can't do tonight if you're looking to avoid a 40-second time penalty. And I believe that will be qualifying done.
There you go. A little bit of everything there, wasn't it? The amount of garbage we saw on the racetrack. People managed to survive, though. And it's a Lob's front row there. Gilliam and Phil Self.
Well, Lob's esports front row, right? Andrew Gilliam gets ahead of teammate Jared Philsell. Can he lead that pairing down into turn number 1? It remains to be seen. On row number 2, though, it is going to be 3 Lob's esports cars inside the top 4. They were looking for a 1-2-3 lockout. Madison Down is going to be the spoiler in that party as he sees his return to form and back at the pointy end of the field on row number 2. Zach Rattray White and Jake Maloney are going to be the 2 cars on row number 3. Will be Clip Sim Sports from Trans-Tasman Racing, one of Maloney's best qualifying performances of the season. Before we get back to row number 4, which will be all blue and black in the Chiefs Esports Club's entries, James Scott will be the second of those. Griffin Garner's managed to take away P7 and has the better qualifying performance from those 2. Final cars inside the top 10, the 888 machine of Rick Kuznetsov is going to get it done for P number 9 for 9 Sides Sim Sports, and Damon Woods will be alongside to round out the top 10. Outside of the 10, Adam Briggs, the go-karter from Lismore, will be off of the inside of row number 6. Josh Anderson will be alongside of him in one of his worst performances of the season. Jacob O'Reilly and Brady Myers are going to be on row number 7. Wayne Burke from Dylan Rudd are going to make up row number 8 deep in the field than either of these guys would have liked, right in and around the bubble. This is an important one to talk about. Ethan Griegalt, though, from Emily Jones inside the top 20 in 17th and 18th. And finally, Jordan Ross from Bo Albert are going to round out our top 20, which is quite deep in the field for Bo after strong track position back at Spa. 21st and 22nd is going to be that of Job Stewart from Dylan Pereira. Dylan Pereira finally manages to qualify that car. And Brady Baldwin from Tyson Broad will be 23rd and 24th on the 12th row of the grid. Ian Ford last year had to tick that thing over the start-finish line on the starter motor. This year we'll be hoping to make it under its own steam. Dylan O'Shea will line up alongside of him. By the way, Dylan O'Shea is the last driver in terms of regular finishes in terms of points. It's going to be the All Racecraft Simulations row number 14 as Brian Borg and Jack Wittes will line up alongside of each other. Matthew Bowler and Lachlan Capel make it an All ERT row number 15. That rounds out the top 30. Outside the 30, it's going to be Sebastian Vandel from Glen Postlethwaite. In the 16th row of the grid, Ryan Jones from Brenton Hobson on the 17th row. 18th row of the grid is going to be that of Andre Youssef from Tao Sorono. 37th and 38th will be Kurt Stenberg from Jake Blackwell. And rounding out the field, Hayden Veld all the way down the very back in 39th spot for the driver known as Bud. Right, it's time to take a trundle down the field. We are going to have a chat to the Gamesman Grid Walk. Starting us off from this one is Emily Jones. Emily, not the first time we've spoken to you this season. 18th spot for you. This one's going to be hot and, to be perfectly honest, I think a tricky race because you've just got to manage those tyres. Going long is going to be a really, really difficult ask today.
Yeah, I think so. It is pretty hot and the tyres were pretty quick. So I think it's going to be a 2-lap pit window potentially, unless there's a safety car. So we'll see what happens, yeah.
In terms of the strategy, you get a safety car sometime around lap 10. Are you coming? I just feel like the tyres are just going to be that much of a big issue tonight.
Yeah, I'm going straight down the lane. If there's a safety car past like lap 5, sure. Or maybe not lap 5. Well, at some point, yeah. I don't have a lot of speed, so we'll see what I do strategy-wise. But I reckon from like lap 10 onwards, you'd box probably.
Look, in terms of how your 2025 season's going, after that win all the way back in the qualifying series, what's the grade you give to the season you've had so far?
It's been okay. It's been a classic. I've finished averagely a lot and not made a huge amount of mistakes. And I think I'm like 10th or something in the championship or just outside the 10. I can't quite remember. So I think I'll take it. I don't think I'm the fastest, but I just kind of keep showing up. And I feel like this is a qualifying championship. Like qualifying just means so much for these races, so that's what I've been working on a bit. It's not shown up tonight, but we'll see for the rest of the season.
Righto. Get the head down, Emily, and enjoy the rest of the race. We'll see if you can improve from 18th on the grid.
Yeah, thanks.
Mr. Sandman Clark's taking a little bit of a wander 7 spots further back. We're going to be chatting to the driver out of 25th spot here tonight, Ian Ford, and you've got Sandman alongside.
Yes, Ian Ford, mate. P25 as I lean up against your gorgeous Logitech G Mustang. Mate, how's tonight looking for you?
Oh, thanks, mate. It's like good to finally get an interview. It's been a while since I've been off the back row of the grid, but it's like I got a lap together. Mustang's handling pretty well. The Logitech G Mustang's handling well. Should be a pretty weird race. I think some people are going to go for a 1-stop, some 2-stop. And we're just going to throw the cards at the wall and see what happens.
Beautiful. That's the way we like it. Mate, are the temperatures a concerning thing? We know with tyre wear, the temperatures, it's going to make for a very, very tricky race. You're going to have to be right up on the wheel looking after those gorgeous Dunlops underneath.
Oh, everyone's going to be absolutely driving to the maximum of their ability tonight, trying to make sure these tyres get where they need to go. And my only goal is to make sure that I don't have an 11-minute last lap like I had last year. So let's keep this engine in one piece.
Scotty was talking about that, how you're on the starter just to get across the start-finish line. But yeah, fingers crossed, it's not nothing like that. But how's the confidence, mate? You're a little bit further in the pack, but you're not too far from the front.
It's like personally as a driver, I think I've been making some good steps forward, getting used to this car. Still struggling with the braking like I did last generation, but you know, it's like I've been making a few mistakes in qualifying, and that's been hindering the race. And last week at Road America was pretty much the key example where I just couldn't physically bounce back up into the group where I expected to be in. And tonight's a bit better.
Right, well, all the best. We'll let you knuckle down and get ready. No doubt with that True Force behind you, that power and that Mustang, you should do all right tonight, mate. Hopefully we're talking to you at the end of it.
No worries. Thank you.
Thanks, buddy. There you go, Scotty. So we're going to let you sort down. You're going to catch up now with Sebastian Vandel out of P31.
Sebastian, tough qualifying, hasn't necessarily gone the way that you would have liked. 31st. But the benefit is, being so far down the field, you get the opportunity to throw a little bit of a wild card amongst the strategy. There's going to be some tyre games, I think, played tonight. Is there a chance that you're just like, you know what, we've got to do something different. Let's try an alternate strategy.
Yeah, definitely not the most ideal qualifying, but you never know. Maybe early safety car might throw a spanner in the works. Maybe early stop is on, but I wouldn't really be going for anything other than the 1-stop today, to be honest.
Yeah, a little bit of a question mark over whether or not that anything but the 1-stop can necessarily work. But the other side of the coin is tyres, and tyres. But also managing the marbles that are going to be shredding off of those things. I think that's going to be a lot of what you guys are talking about deeper in the field.
Yeah, definitely. The tyres are going to be a big story in this race. So, yeah, just got to try keep it off the curbs as much as possible and just, yeah, look after them.
Mate, in terms of the championship at the moment, hunting towards that top 20 position, fair bit of the way to go, but we've only got one more round to go and then we're into the endurance season. How's the endurance program looking for the number 458 Camara?
Not quite sure at the moment. We haven't really been organising that stuff just yet. But yeah, I mean, top 20 is the goal in the championship, but obviously we're missing last round because we're having some internet issues. Wasn't ideal, but we'll keep fighting. See where we can end up.
Yep. In terms of getting the head down, mate. And finally, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to just before you get racing? You got an opportunity before everything gets started? Maybe thank the spotter, thank mum and dad for getting you to this point. Who would you give a big thank you to?
Just all the boys from VM, just all the hard work they put in for each round. It's yeah, great help to me, and yeah, all the boys are real good to be around, and Jake and Berkey are up there tonight, so it'd be good to see what they can do.
Righto, mate, go hard, get out there and have some fun. 31st on the grid, we'll see if you can make some spots up in those opening couple laps.
Cool, thank you.
Righto, well that walks us through the Gamesman grid walk, but it is worthwhile pointing back out. Place, seat, pole position from race number 7 here, going to Andrew Gilliam. He's starting to get his car worked out and he's starting to match Jared Filsell. Do you feel like the back half of this championship, there could be a changing of that story, a changing of the guard? There is such a big points margin, though, that he's got to overhaul.
Yeah. I mean, it's still, anyone's game. We touched on it a little bit, and we'll be talking about that all through the endurance series about, the impact it had on Jared Filsell. So it can impact anyone. And so, yes, you've got that points deficit, but it doesn't always mean that a DNF could change it as well. If you have a terrible, maybe you fall outside the top 10 or something, and that just gives other opportunity for drivers to make those small gains. And as we get to the final round, that's when it's get very interesting. But you're never out of it. And yeah, we just never know till the final round.
Well, the other big thing will be who can get away on the run up to turn number 1. The engines on the starting grid of the Logitech Pro Invitational field roar to life. 51 laps, 225 kilometers. Who is going to make the tires last the journey? That is going to be the questions we are about to answer. Lights are on at the front end of the field. Here we go for a start from the circuit of Jerez. Who will get the power down? Who's going to spin tires? Green flags in the air. Here we go. Madison Down did not time to get away all that well. Neither did Filsell. Here comes Luke Lazar. He's going to try and cut his way across. Drama up towards the pointy end of things. That might be Josh Anderson. He's been clouded by several cars. Gilliam leads us into turn 1 from Filsell. Huge drama in the mid-pack. Cannot believe that's happened. Somebody's made an absolute mess at the start, and the field's going to fire their way through 1, 2, and 3. 3 wide entering turn 2. Yeah, there's 4 wide. There's a drama at the back end of the field.
Man, that's all managed to gather up, but big, huge damage to the cars back in the field. We're probably going to see safety car. There's 2 TTR cars involved there, and like you said, it looks like that was Anderson that was involved.
I think it's Anderson. Yeah, it's Anderson.
So Anderson. Huge championship impact for Anderson. We spoke about the struggles that he had in qualifying, and now it looks like he's out of the race.
He's done. He's absolutely done. He's parked up there. The engine is shut off. Safety car has been called. What happened for Josh Anderson? We talked about it's such a confident sport. He's just said, I'm right there. I'm starting to feel like I'm going well. And then you have one nervy qualifying effort. You're in the middle of the field. You don't quite get things together. I think the big thing for him is struggling to relax. And he'll know that as a pro driver. And now he's just going to sit in the sidelines for the rest of the night.
Mate, he'll
do so much work.
18 points off the championship lead he was from behind Jared Filsell coming into tonight. So, and now a DNF, basically. Absolute heartbreaking. But the Lobs boys have got a great start. You touched on it. Down didn't get away to an amazing start, but still holds on to P4. Everyone was wanting a bit of a safety car. Let's go to the replay and see. Oh, no.
Okay.
Oh, no! Meat the sandwich. and then
So
gets
who was-
absolutely bang, gets cleaned up 2-3 times. And
So
that was
it'd be
Stenberg that finished him off.
Yeah, Brady Myers was the driver that was in the middle that got the great launch and went for the hole. So that's team. The worst part is it's teammates.
Yeah.
And Ando will know as well. He wanted to cover that hole, but the car that was alongside was Jacob O'Reilly at the same time. So he wanted to cover the hole, and they've both just gone for it at the same time. This is the run from the back end of the grid, and this will show you how quickly this will unfold. No
So
smoke,
two
no
teams.
smoke. There's a touch of smoke there, but you've got to be on the anchors already ready to go.
Absolutely drilled his teammate. So yeah, not only was it one of his teammates, two of his teammates were involved in that as well. So tough break for TTR, but Anderson, heartbreaking for Anderson. And yeah, we spoke about that. You know, the points can be impacted come the enduros as we go on board. This is Brady Myers now. That'll be Anderson in front.
Good start.
It's just a squeeze. Bang! Brady would have been devastated too because he's looked in his mirror and just seen exactly what's happened. That's how it changes. And we're not even in
Stenny's
endurance
done as
race.
well. Stenny's done. Stenny didn't make it back to pit lane either.
There we go.
Oh, Stenny's engine blew before he got back to pit lane.
So on board with 40. We were chatting with 40 on the grid. Now, we already know what's going to happen. So as a driver, you're obviously going into this, you're thinking, yep, beautiful, this is a great start, no worries, or haven't got any dramas. Okay, a little bit of smoke. Oh, picks the grass, manages to get away with it. Like, in the right place at the right time for Ian Ford. Oh, but he's made contact in turn one. They've managed to gather it up. And then, of course, there was more drama as we were watching our live pictures. I don't know if it was our gold member that had a big moment round the outside there. I wasn't sure. So,
They were 4 wide. They were 4 wide when they got there.
Ooh.
So,
well, people wanted a safety car, but I don't think they wanted it on lap 1.
yeah. Well, if you're at the back end of the field, you pit because why not? And there's a few takers actually all the way down there. By the
Here we
way,
go. So this is a replay. Oh, look at that. 4 or 5 wide. And they're still 4 wide. And Hobbo's just been tagged. You just can't fit that many cars. Thankfully, he kept it straight. Lost a couple of positions out of it. Oh, they're still going with it. Still, they've all got straight race cars. And they all push on. And then, of course, they would have been told in their ears that there was a chance of a safety car. And sure enough, there it is. Our Logitech G BMW safety car is on track leading this field.
well, the big thing I'll say is for anyone that's deeper in the field, why not pit? Something's happened to Greg Galt. Greg Galt. Because he was up at the pointy end of things. He started 12th. And he's gone to the rear. So, replay on board Ethan Greg Galt on the opening lap. I think
This is
he
going to
might-
happen in front of him, is it? Yep. Look at this. He's going to be he's got the best seat in the house for the drama. Bang! So he's got damage there. Surely he hasn't put him out, has it?
No, he looks like he's okay, but
He's got a lot of
falling right
damage
back
to that.
end.
Yeah, that right front, the nose obviously, and the right front. But you're right, we talk about the safety car. Anyone who's down the back, absolutely make a pit stop and put on a set of tyres. You got nothing to lose. And a couple of laps fresher tyres on obviously these teams or drivers in ahead of them, they've only probably had half a lap of real hard racing. Oh, he's on the grass.
Ethan Greg Galt.
Couldn't pull it up. Got away with it though. But yes, yeah, you'd go and put on a fresh set anyway. And yeah, it's only half a lap, but you'd do it. Why not? You got nothing to lose if you're down the back.
Yeah, you may as well. You're out of sequence in terms of the pit stops anyway. Jacob O'Reilly, Jordan Ross have come back to pit lane as well, doing the exact same thing. And they'll be going green at the end of this lap. Reed Galt's going to have to fire out of pit lane. He's still in the pit lane, by the way. He waited the whole lap. He went as far down as he possibly could while staying on the lead lap to catch the queue. He come back in for more damage repairs. So there must still be significant amount of damage to that car. Or does he have a black flag from entering pit lane unsafely, which is probably the case. Yeah, he does. So he's serving a penalty at the moment. He's not going to get back out there and get reattached to the rear end of the queue, by the way.
Jerez has certainly spiced things up, hasn't it? Unbelievable.
Did Green Gold speed on pit lane entry and unsafe entry? He's been in the pit lane for a very, very long time, and he's still got a black flag. He's still sat there. That's what remains of Kurt Stenberg's car just in front of him.
We touched on that new look for Stenny too, getting a dash of purple on the race car. Unfortunately, his night is ended, and speaking of ending, looks like our safety car is in the process of ending too, so he'll be firing back to pit lane.
Ricolt's just leaving the lane now. And steady check-in. Good news. There's no medical centre to worry about. He is texting away instead. That'll be his participation for the remainder of the night, unfortunately. Now, does the safety car make it back to pit lane without picking itself up a black flag? I thought that might have been some of the track on the inside there. And actually, Andrew Gilliam's not waited at all. He's gone very, very early on in this one. He goes before they get to the final corner. Did they catch anyone napping? The first driver that we're going to look at will be Madison Down, whether or not he caught him. Out as they run out of the final corner. Back to green flag racing. End of lap 3. And lap 4 will restart. Maybe we can go to lap 36 now on the fuel with a little bit of saving. Just pushes us that much deeper in terms of this race. And where do they get to at the back end of the field as well? Still side by side as they get through. I think that's Ryan Jones. He got clear of Gren Postlethwaite and does. Slots it back in there. But Jones will pick up one spot as they fire through. Everyone else is single filed out. There is just about no one looking for that little bit of an advantage.
We've already seen a chaotic start, but they're going to try and look after their equipment and their tyres. Oh, I was going to say that. There's a dive here up the inside. Oh, everyone's giving a little bit of give and take there, which is good. But, yeah, everyone's just going to be looking after their tyres just in there. Don't want to put too much pressure on them at the moment and see if we can eke them out. But up front, it's Gilliam, Philsell, Rosella, the Lobs boys doing it up front for the moment. And, yeah, it's a little bit racy between Philsell and Gilliam. I don't know.
Right there underneath the rear wing, but for the moment, Sandman, I believe he went for a walk down. You've managed to grab yourself a quick interview with Josh Anderson.
Mate, this is going to be hard for you to talk about. We spoke about obviously the difficulties you had there in qualifying, and then to start down the back and then get caught up in that lap 1 incident. How are you feeling, mate?
Yeah, pretty disappointed, mate. Yeah, pretty disappointed.
Yeah, I know. It's an absolute heartbreaker, and I'm surprised that you're actually happy to have a chat with us, mate, because I know it's going to be the stupidest question in the world, just trying to, pull it apart and consider everything that's happened for you tonight. But, mate, what do you do tonight now? Do you just put it to the back of your mind now and focus on the next round and just trying to bounce back?
Yeah, it's like the crash that happened. It is what it is. Like, I won't comment on that, but I put myself in that position. Like, I wasn't serious enough in quali. I was in Discord talking absolute bollocks, and I went out on race fuel. So I did my first lap on race fuel, and which is just, and then I made a mistake on my second lap, and then and you just bottle it basically. So that puts you back in the shit. So I look at that and just go, it's on me. Whatever happens after that, it's just what happens in the mid-pack, right? But yeah, I've got to make sure that I never do that ever again. Like that's I've got to take it a lot more serious than that. So yeah, it bites you.
Mate, all I can say is keep your chin up. You've had an incredible season so far. Don't let this be the end of it. You can bounce back from this. We've got endurance races coming up, heaps of points there to make up, and mate, learn from it, and I reckon you could put yourself in good stead for the rest of the season, buddy. Keep your chin up.
Yeah, cheers, Sam, man. Yeah, you always, mate, racing's university motorsport. You learn a lot, and I certainly have over the years, and you continue to learn more.
Well, all the best, mate. We'll let you go and recover for this one, and we'll talk to you for the next round. But again, we appreciate you joining us in the commentary box for a chat. I know it's not the best situation, but appreciate you sort of keeping your chin up and having a chat with us.
Yeah, I might have a beer in the shower. Cheers.
There you go, Josh Anderson. Tough break for him. Obviously, it's the last thing he wants to think about how tonight's results are going to impact. But let's go to the racing on track. It's Gilliam over Phil Cell, Luke Rosella, your top three. It's getting a little bit dicey back in the pack here.
It certainly is. And this is Ian Ford trying to cut his way through. So some of the drivers at the back end, Ian Ford's the lead driver that has made a stop at the moment. Glenn Postlethwaite, that's just ahead of him, is clearly struggling at the moment for a little bit of traction. It's amazing just the difference in a couple laps on those tyres are making, because everyone ahead is just pulling away. I think Ford is going to try and line him up, build the run, and then sail down the inside. You can just see the queue of cars that's starting to build back here. 31st and 32nd spot. And Ian Ford gets to the inside. He said he's been having issues with braking. Well, a little bit of tyre advantage will make that one count. Look at the queue of cars that are lining up. Serrano's immediately going to capitalise on the opportunity and cut his way through as well. We'll see how quickly Ford can run away. In fact, he's gapped them very much straight away as they go side by side down into turn number 8.
Well, they're still not giving up back here. Yeah, how good is this? These guys are really hanging in there. Oh, it's going to be close on exit, giving each other room. Oh, he's going to lose out to another spot there, but man, these guys having a red hot go. This is for almost last position.
Yeah, well, this is right at the tail end of the chain. Last running at the moment, 2 cars out, Stenberg and Anderson. And at the moment, it's the last car on the lead lap. It's the 37th place, Ethan Grieg-Galt as well. And going to get a replay here in just a few moments from on board with Damon Woods and his scrap with Jake Maloney. So a little bit of an opening to the inside. He gets pitched off just before the corner. Nudging in the mid-corner. No, they both got away with that one. So they just barely brush each other.
It's just Braille for up close and personal, good hard racing, I think, by the looks of that. They've got away with it, no damage, but that's how it is in this sport. You know, we're talking millimetres, and you don't want to check up if you don't have to, because that can cost you that exit speed. So they've all got away with it quite nicely, and now they're just pushing on. So lap 7 of 51, and talk is tyres, and it's going to be interesting to see who can go the distance and stretch this out. I mean, we're talking with tyre drop off. There was reports in the pits of teams talking about, you know, obviously going for that 2 stop, but the tyres being so bad for some of the drivers that they're considering a 3. Now, I guess those stats will be mixed up a little bit, where some of those teams and drivers took an opportunity to have an early pit stop with that safety car, but that won't be a massive impact as far as the teams that are up front. So, but a good opportunity for the drivers that did take a dive down pit lane just to put on another set of tyres and probably feel a little bit better about themselves.
We go, feeding into the final corner. At the moment, not real much to talk about. Damon Woods, after being a little bit more aggressive with Jake Maloney a touch earlier, I think he was trying to gain some ground and then hope that he could hang on to it as the tyres started to ail. Let's talk lap times. Fastest lap time of the race, 45.809, was Luke Rosella. His most recent lap time, 46.6, so he's already fallen off 0.8 of a second as they fire off down into turn 1. On board now with biggest beard in the Pro Series, and after being on the outside, gold member now sits inside the top third.
Yeah, after that chaotic start and him getting involved and ended up all crossed up at the start in turn 2, I think he'd be quite happy at the moment that this race is just starting to peter out a bit, and he can sort of just comfortably drive and start thinking about race strategy.
Just looking at this lead group and just thinking, how patient do you think they're all trying to be on those tyres to really just protect them as long as they possibly can?
Well, I think the truth's in the pudding right there. Look how bunched up these cars are. Even though we're a couple of laps after the safety car restart, everyone is still really, really close to each other, which means they are just being gentle on those tyres and just looking after things. They know they don't have to do anything silly. It's going to hurt them more than they'll gain out of it if they do anything and be aggressive at this point. They want to make these tyres go the distance, and you know, the less time that you spend in pit lane, the better. So that's what these teams are thinking about, and especially the top 3. You look at those Lobs cars, they'll all be talking with each other. They'll be saying that, you know, let's control this race. Let's not worry about doing something silly with each other and just keep the train behind us. So they're in the perfect position where they can just tick these laps away.
Yeah, so just trying to tick away at them and do what they can for now. And it was interesting to note as well that Sebastian was talking about staying off the curbs, and that'll be to prevent the left rear tyre mainly from wheel spinning on the way out of corners. Wayne Burke trying to track down Adam Briggs at the moment, nearly gets into it. And I was chatting to a few guys actually over in one of the series that you're taking part in on Monday night actually, was talking about the way that the cars set up and overtake each other, and there was a lot of problems with trying to set up overtaking, and the way that you drive these cars to overtake has changed significantly since the Gen 2.
Yeah, that has been the talk, isn't it?
Oh, Gilliam's gone deep. Gilliam's just made a mistake down at the hairpin, and he's actually run very, very wide. So we've actually got a change for race lead. Jared Philsell's got that one back. And is that a mistake from Gilliam, or was that... I don't think that would be team games. I don't think Gilliam would be even thinking about that. I think he's actually gone deep. Yeah.
Interesting. That raises the eyebrows for Madison and Zach that's behind there. So let's go to this OG Gear replay, and you'll see there's no pressure he has. He's just, outbraked himself. Or has he given up the position for Philsell?
Oh, he's wide. He's wide in the middle of the corner.
Yeah, he is, but did he open up the wheel a little bit? But yeah, I think he probably did carry a little bit too much speed in there. Yeah, anyway. So Philsell now leads over Gilliam and Rosella in third.
Just lost the spot deep in the field as well, which is Brady Myers cutting his way through. So he's gained a few after the race start. And final corner, and Brady's just far enough up the inside, and Burke just goes, yep, there's probably not a lot I can do about that one.
So it's going to be a little bit follow the leader, I think, for the next little while. We were talking about pit stops here. Our critical lap, if you were only going to do one stop, the drivers at the earliest point they can come in is lap 17. So, you know, I don't imagine we'll see everyone dart in straight away. It depends on if people are thinking about a second pit stop. But I think most of these teams and drivers will probably assume that they probably only want to stop once. But I guess it depends on how it feels from the driver's seat and what sort of grip you've got underneath you.
Well, at the moment, you know, it's going to be one of those races, and I was talking to a few people, they said, look, we're probably expecting a reasonably boring race from a strategy and overtaking perspective, because we're not interested in racing all that hard. We're interested in just looking after the tyre. So probably expecting a little bit of a dry one tonight. Track temps already up above 55 degrees Celsius too, so they will be feeling it.
We talked a little bit coming into this about what the marbles will be like, you can see, and this is a perfect example here. This camera shot, you look at the windscreen and the build-up of rubber on the top of the windscreen there. It's like the drivers are actually having to do a wipe of the windscreen with the wiper just to clear some of that garbage off the windscreen, so they've got some clear vision. So in that top right-hand corner of the window, you can see what sort of dirt and muck that has been kicked up from these cars already.
Yep. And Teroff's taken at the pit stops for sure. Meantime, Jordan Ross, up to being involved in that incident on the opening laps, trying to cut his way through. And Ian Ford's now caught all the way back up to the pack. He's going to dive it down the inside, gets up the inside of Teo Serrano, and gets the job done. Yeah, that's that replay, that overtake. I was going to try and hunt down Ian Ford. By the way, Ian Ford, furthest ahead of those drivers who did take the extra stop. So 30th at the moment.
Getting away with it now, so up front, it's Philsell. He loves the front, doesn't he? He's always up there, there or thereabouts. He loves to clear air on the nose of his car. But, you know, like we keep touching on, you know, these guys are just sort of running their own race at the moment, not too concerned about what everyone else is doing at this stage. But I have noticed now that since Fuel Cell's made that move on Gillian, that field of cars behind them are just starting to stretch out just that tiny bit. It's not so much nose to tail that we saw a few laps ago. So I wonder if the tempo has just picked up just a tiny bit.
Now we watch and wait to see what's going to come our way. Jared Fuel Cell, 11 laps in the book. And we'll run into turn number 1 as we start our 12th circuit of the motor race. Keep your eyes a little bit deeper as well. Starting to be some splits towards the middle and back of the pack. Seeing a break in the field about 19th spot, which is Dylan O'Shea. As he tries to track down Brady Baldwin ahead of him. Brady Baldwin's having quietly his best night of the season thus far. Just ticking away in 18th spot to be the next victim at the back end of that pack. But conversely, Job Stewart, I think, is one of those interesting ones. He's chasing a little bit of speed this year, isn't he? He just can't, it's just not going the way that he wants it to.
Yeah. Some people, I guess we forget sometimes too that this is only our first season with Gen 3. So maybe it's that transition from Gen 2 to Gen 3 that some people, maybe not quite gelling with the new car. I've heard mixed reports. Some people love it. Some people aren't enjoying it as much as what they did with Gen 2. So, that may be a factor as far as where his pace and speed is at.
Here's this squabble that we're just talking about. That's all in behind Hayden Veld, and that's the guys that were all in behind him are all on fresher tyres. So he is really a cork in the bottle, and Ian Ford will be saying to his teammate, come on, buddy. I want to get on with this one if I possibly can.
I wonder how much of an argument you've actually got as far as your teammate letting you pass, because yes, he's with fresher tyres, but it's not a massive gain in laps as far as fresh tyres because the safety car was so early.
Think about these cars at the moment as well, big and heavy. Oh, he's going to get a little bit of a touch up now. Yep. Ian Ford. I think he's still trying to look after the tyres. I think Jordan Ross has actually done more. By the way, Jordan Ross has actually got a penalty carried over from qualifying, which is a 10-second penalty we added to his time. And the driver he got it for, impeding directly in front of him on the road. So that'll be thanks for the penalty in qualifying. And can we move on with this one if we can, please?
Isn't it funny how drivers that tangle up between each other always tend to find themselves on the racetrack throughout the race?
I was just about to say, the pleas will quickly be, there'll be less of the pleas and more of, right, you've had your fun, move on with it. Probably just having a Brian Ball. Wait for an update on that one. And we'll be turn 1 from this current lap, what I'm hearing. I'm waiting to hear whether or not there was contact with Sebastian Van Del at the moment.
We're putting the losses on some of the drivers that we've spoken to tonight.
So there's going to be a fair bit in this one, and apparently it's all kicked off with Sebastian Van Del and Lachlan Capel. Capel getting to the inside of him. Capel has a little bit of a wiggle, and there's a jink out there, and Van Del's just trying to gather it all back up. And Borg got a little bit of a run out of the final corner, got clear, and I think he's going to switch to the right-hand side of the road and cover it. Because he's got that spot, he doesn't want to have to give it up. So he'll get out of turn 1 down here, gets a little bit of a helping in the middle of the corner. Covers again at turn 2. Or just tries to disincentivize, and Van Del can't get it pulled up, runs him wide. And in the meantime, the other Vermilion car and Brent Hobson just say, thanks, boys. Enjoy.
Our live pictures. Fordy's got his hands full here. Jordan Ross trying to go around the outside.
Well, Hayden Veld's picked up a little bit of speed. So that was those two cars that we were just talking about. Veld's now catching the two guys that we were just talking about, Van Del and Brian Borg, were having their squabble. So that sort of helped out Veld a bit. Now Ian Ford is going to go side by side with Jordan Ross. Ross is going to go around the outside at turn 4. That was very very difficult to do, but he's managed to hang on to it. Now he gets the inside at 5, and Ian Ford's out on the marbles, and Sorono's going to pick up the spot as well, but he's gone the long way around. He'll carry the momentum down the back straight away.
2 spots there. You can see the marble build up on the outside, but 40, unfortunately, he's just going to be hung out to dry here. He's going to try his absolute best to try and fight him. If he can hold on for the exit, can't quite. He'll have the inside, but he just didn't get quite the position there. So 2 spots for 40 have gone backwards, unfortunately.
Yep. Update. 5-second penalty for Sebastian Findel for contact with Brian Board, and Matt Bowler and Dylan O'Shea have just had a little bit of panel rubbing as well. Gets down the inside. No panel rub there. They're actually not too bad at the middle and exit of the corner, but then you're on the outside the whole way through this section. And that's where the marble build-up is.
That's exactly what we just saw from 40 and Ross.
Now they're all looking at Matt Bowler and saying, hey, can we get it on the inside? And that's Jack Widders having a look at Tyson Broad.
Good racing there, fellas. Oh, look at our live pictures.
That'll be an unsafe pit lane entry for Joe Sorono, and that's Jacob O'Rourke. They're not to the marker to get home on fuel yet, so this is a guaranteed 2-stop from these guys.
Yeah. And like you said, a penalty because he just ran wide as we go to the OGT replay. And this is our drone shot. Look at him, locked him up and off. So he's touched the grass there. I wonder if that's a penalty for him on the outside there. I'm not sure.
No, he's okay. So he didn't get a penalty for that one.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Not too bad.
Oh, geez, but if you carry too much speed, the problem is you can understeer on that grass and then get onto the racetrack if you're going too fast.
Yep. The second of the racecraft simulation cars, Jack Widders has just jumped on the radio for contact this lap. So something else has gone on for Widders in the recent history. In the meantime, that top 4, there's not much going on up there at the moment. They are all still nose to tail, but the lap times are starting to fall off. They're starting to fall back in the 47s at the moment.
I wonder now, do they go maybe to lap 20 and then pit again at lap 40 and turn it into a 2-stopper? It's going to be interesting. I love that someone's already rolled the dice and committed to a 2-stopper, but yeah, there's still certainly a fair bit to play out, but you do give up a fair bit of time in the lane when you make a pit stop under green conditions.
Very, very curious to see how this plays out. I just don't think it's going to work out the way that they want to.
It's weighing up the difference when you've got that fresh tyre, what speed you can carry compared to the drivers that are out there on the old rubber. Because you've obviously got a massive difference to make up when you're stationary in the lane. So, yeah, maybe they've done their homework and decided that the pace they get out of a brand new set of tyres will benefit them. But it is a big ask if everyone stays out and only does the 1 stop.
Well, for now, we'll have to keep an eye on these guys. We're going to have to keep an eye for those lap times from those guys who have ended up pitting. So for Jacob O'Reilly, he just comes across the start-finish line. They're about 21 seconds off the back of Glenn Postlethwaite, who's the last car running around at the moment. Remember, Postlethwaite, his just rear tyres are just gone. I saw that car sideways a number of times in the opening lap. I thought he might be one of the drivers who elect to come for fresh tyres. In the meantime, in the middle of the field, Wayne Burke and Adam Briggs not able to get away from each other, and Brady Myers seems to be the cork in the bottle at the moment. He's going to make a little bobble as he tries to tip it in down at turn 9. I'll tell you, that corner at turn 9, this is bravery all the way through here. Have a look at the vision and the visibility that Wayne Burke's got. Tucked up in behind the yellow and blue Synergy Sim Racing machine of Briggs. You don't see a whole lot, do you? And it's trying to pick the apexes is so difficult, and if you back off because you can't see them, well, forget it. You just go sailing backwards.
Yeah, and to be honest, we're probably our vision's just that little bit better because we are to the right of the driver's eye a little bit. So your vision is very much impaired. Even this shot here, you can see you're basically looking at the back of that Mustang, and you're going by as far as where his or her braking markers are, and you're just trying to do the absolute best you can with the vision that you've got. So. Yeah, and then think about it, thankfully it's a dry day, but you throw in some wet conditions and you've got rain and spray and everything else coming up, it just makes your day just that much worse. So something that these drivers all need to be mindful of, and it's all about just trying to, you'll see even drivers that will just move away from outside of the car just so they can get a bit of a look down the side of the car just to see what sort of vision they've got into their braking zones.
Big thing will be getting wide at the moment. I can tell you Brady Myers has just missed his braking marker going in down here, and this is further back in behind these guys. They're going to be 3 wide out the other side. Job Stewart was the driver that ended up lifting. It was Bowen, but trying to have a go at Emily Jones, and now he tags her, and through goes Stewart. So he capitalises a little bit of opportunism. Recognised that going 3 wide wasn't going to get it done. But Emily talked about just getting qualifying a little bit further up the grid and then just hanging on to your spots, how much it's worked for her so far this season.
Yeah, well, that was a late dive there for Bo, and he tried to throw it up the inside. Look at the garbage on the racetrack. Someone saw it run wide and rejoin the racetrack, but then she got doored. So, but she fought back, which was good for her, and now she's now she's just got to just push on, try to look after that car and eyes forward. Not worry about Job Stewart at the moment, although he's looking pretty hungry as he puts the nose to tail action there through the final corner. So he's obviously looking a lot more racing than what Emily is at this stage. So probably see a move done possibly by Job in the next couple of laps.
Just went and had a little bit of a look at Tao Serrano for a little bit of an update on his race. Now, remember, when they pit, they were in the mid-20s. Well, they're about 2.5 seconds a lap faster than the cars they're around at the moment. Have a look at the rubbing from Job Stewart into the back of Emily Jones. Really applying the front end of that Camaro to the rear end of the Camaro ahead of him for Job. But we've got to keep an eye on those lap times because they are 2.5 seconds faster. It's not going to stay that quick. But we need to keep an eye on the margin towards the leaders. And on lap 15, Tao Serrano took 3.3 seconds. So, other way around, my apologies.
Yeah.
We're seeing 1.1 seconds and 0.9 of a second out of the race leader. So that 3.3 seconds was Jared Filso gaining over Tao Serrano. That was the in-lap and potentially the out-lap. And it's ever since then that we're actually tracking.
Yeah, so over a second a lap, the next lap, and then just under a second lap. So, but it's exactly what you spoke about, is what's that drop-off going to do? Yes, you've got those fresh tyres and you want to make the most of it, but the track position that you've got to give up after being stationary for so long, but you've got to keep the tyres underneath you as well. So, yes, it's going to be interesting as these laps go on.
Well, the big thing is we're about 8 laps away from the pit window realistically being open. It's probably a touch less than that. And they're going to gain about 15 to 16 seconds by the time those pit stops come out. And then they're going to lose it for a short period of time and then be really, really aggressive in the back half of the race as well. They'll probably pit somewhere around 35 or so to come to the end of the race at that point in time. Jake Maloney's gotten out and gotten aggressive. And taking that spot away from Dylan Wright.
And then behind him, he's got Brady Myers, and Brady's just been slowly picking them off too as we go to the OG gear replay. This is going to be the move up the inside. Seems to be driver's favourite right in here, isn't it? You can get that little bit of run, outbrake your competitor just by that little bit of margin and that track position up the inside. They have to do everything but just give it up. There's no point fighting as we see. Ian Ford. So this is another trip down pit lane for Ian.
So 1/3 of the way through the race was lap 17, the end of lap 17. So we're just going to touch beyond that. If you wanted to split it evenly, that's when you would be thinking about pitting. But for those guys at the back end, they're looking to make some gain prior to first pit window being here. But they've gone very, very early from my mind.
It's hard when you obviously these drivers have got a better understanding of how their car feels and how long they think they can go, but it's sort of more and more looking as this race goes on that it might possibly be just a one-stopper for these front runners, because I think the gain over loss is too much at the moment.
Ford's just pit, by the way. So yeah. Him and Jordan Ross were sort of right together and they were tracking down Hayden Veld. Well, Ford's pit.
Go.
Here we go, another fire down the inside on Dylan Rudd. That's going to back them all up at this point in time, and Brady Myers will manage to steal a spot away when they get the start-finish line. Really have it when they get a turn one. There's a little bit of contact on the straight as he moved across on him. Was that Dylan Rudd moving back across and jinking at him, breaking down? Hole's gone away. Now Wayne Burke, who's backed up the braking zone, he'll get the over and under. He's got to the inside as they run down a little bit into turn two, locks the brakes up, and Dylan Rudd's on the slide at the moment. Here comes Adam Briggs out in the marbles, can't get the traction put down. Briggs is going to try and go the long way round. And for Wayne Burke and Brady Myers, they've just picked off a spot. And for Dylan Rudd, he's lost two.
Yeah, we nearly saw absolute drama down that front straightaway. There was a little bit of overlap there, and they came together. That could have been ugly. We could have seen exactly what we saw at the start of this race, but thankfully they all got away with it. But Brady Myers is now on the move now.
Jake Maloney's having a go at Rick Kuznetsov down to the hairpin. Sails it in deep, gets it on the marbles. Rick gave him the space, won't be able to cross it back over. Here comes Job Stewart. He's going to get down the inside now. I believe Emily Jones can't quite get it done. Neither can Briggs on Dylan Rudd. And Dylan Rudd's now the cork in a bottle. Job's going to try and do the same move. He did a couple laps. He got a bow. Can't do it. Emily Jones pinches the brake, though. She's going to run very wide. Bow's going to get at the back end. Still side by side. So as the tyres start to ail, the temperatures come up in the cockpits. And it is eyes on the prize at the moment. Because with grip going away from you, this is the hard part of the stint. This is where you've got to do all the work.
Yeah, I think Emily got sort of a little bit distracted, obviously, with the two cars in front of her that are battling with the likes of Adam Briggs and Dylan Rudd. So now she finds herself just in that sandwich now where these group of cars...
Here goes Joe.
Yep, he's got to move up the inside. Oh, made contact again. That's twice that she's been doored. They take a dive up the inside and just door her. So maybe she's going to lose another spot. He should hold on, but... yeah, she obviously won't be too happy about that, but at the end of the day, they've managed to fight on for another day.
This is really important because that move right there will define the era of Gen 3 racing, at least to the back end of this year. And the reason I'm saying that is because Job was up the inside, but he wasn't quite going to pull it up, but he elbowed her straight into the marbles. And then as soon as he did that, job's done. So if that's legal, well, then I'm lining up every overtake moving forwards by doing exactly that. Just run at a fraction deep, force you to have nowhere to go, but sit on the marbles.
You also got that issue of, if you dive in there and make contact too hard, you're going to do, front suspension damage, and that's where it's going to sort of bite you in the backside too. But I hear what you're saying, but it can be catch-22 and it can bite you pretty hard.
Well, yeah, but all I want to know is if the stewards say that's legal, sweet, I am doing that every step through the field, because I go back and I point, I'm like, okay, what was legal here? What's so it's very, very important. That's a line on the sand moment, because that defines how we go racing in the future. Dylan Rudd's still hanging on to that lead over Adam Briggs for that 13th spot at the moment as well. And we're looking back at Jordan Ross, who's trying to make ground still outside the 20s for him.
Yeah, well, it's twice that it's happened to Emily, just that we've seen. So, and I'm not saying it's probably happened to other drivers down the field too. It's just two that we've happened to catch on camera. So, yeah, it seems to be that is what they're able to get away with. You can make that dive and door someone and then just get the job done. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to speak to the officials about that and see where, like you said, where's the line in the sand about that one.
It's not been reported. I don't have it on the sheet, so the stewards can jump in and go and have a look at it on the way without it being called in. But I'm not seeing that it's on a sheet anywhere. So
they might say, just, hey, let's play on. Yeah, they may say.
And the other thing for Emily is she was blocking aggressively, and she knew that she was going to get defeated at some point.
Entitled to as well.
So yeah. She's just probably gone, you know what, I was probably being a little bit rude with the way I was blocking it. I'm going to let that one go.
Yeah, they're all racing for position too, so, at the end of the day, you don't have to move over and give the spot up just because, the person behind has got that little bit more pace. But, hey, at the end of the day, they're all racing hard, having a good go, and the main thing is everyone's straight and they're still racing.
It'd be interesting. I just really want to see that for me is important. Very, very important. As is this one a little bit further down the field at the moment. Sorry, further up the field. As Jake Maloney gets down the inside on Damon Woods. Next target for him is going to be Griffin Gardner. And take a note, Sandman, of the Chiefs esports cars. They are just ailing at the back end of the stint right here, aren't they?
Yeah. What are we, lap 22 of 51? So they're obviously feeling it. We said that maybe some of these teams and drivers were going to be in a bit of trouble around lap 28 to 30. So you know, we even heard communications that people were getting, you know, the longer that these runs went in practice and testing, that they were getting meatball flags as far as how bad their tyres were.
Worthwhile pointing out as well, Ian Ford's come out of the pits. And he's just taken 2 seconds at a Teo Sorono ahead of him in the most recent lap. Sorono is back into the 48.6s on his lap time, so he made a mistake on that most recent lap. But Jacob O'Reilly's still in 47s. He took 1.1 seconds out of Glenn Postlethwaite ahead of him. So he's got that margin when he came out of the pits was over 20 seconds. That's down under 10 seconds now. But again, there's just not the gain that you need, and that's the issue.
Teams and drivers, if they get to about another, there's a bit of nose to tail there. Look at the marble build up on the exit there. You can see just as our camera pans around just on these corners, you can really start to see that marble build up as this race goes on. But we're almost at the exact halfway mark of this race. So there'll be teams that'll be thinking about making that perfect halfway mark pit stop. But I guess if you're in a position where you can stay out just those few laps more and have those fresher tyres towards the end, that could be you know, a huge benefit as this race goes on.
Yep.
Ooh, Emily's got a bit of a run here. Yep, she's going to make a move here up the inside. So, oh, no, she didn't quite get the job done. Maybe gone a little bit deep. Got away with it, though.
Pulled in, and now Adam Briggs is also having a little bit of a go. Lachlan Capel's got damage to the front right corner of that car. That's significant damage as well. Something's going on there. Did you see Jack Wittes just jump on the radio, and there was something else that's happened to him? He's had a few dramas for that car. He's in pit lane at the moment, but he's also had, I think, potentially a pit lane entry infringement. And we'll have a look at that one.
Oh dear!
Yeah, that's a pit lane entry infringement.
Wow. So he locked him up, then hit the grass. And then, like I said, if you carry way too much speed, you can really rejoin the racetrack and cause all sorts of issues. So,
and the issue for Jack is that he's just fed out in behind the leaders after that penalty.
With new tyres.
Bo Albert's dived to pit lane for a little bit of an undercut on the cars that he's in. That's at the end of lap 22. So the issue, sorry, that is at the end of lap 23. My apologies. So at the end of lap 23. So he's going to go 28 laps to home. That's a long run, but that's probably the leading edge of when you can make it safely on the tyres.
How's the leader though? Phil Sell opened up 1.2 seconds now over Gilliam. So we saw this at the last round when he started to run. They weren't too far away from pit stops.
So remember how we said that there was damage to Lachlan Capel? We went, where's that come from? I've got a solution to where that damage came from. And we've just seen the replay of it. He has hit Jack Wittes on the way into the pit lane. So pit lane feeds off the racing line. So there was contact from Capel into Wittes. That's the reason that Wittes has gone sailing into the pit lane and picked up that unsafe pit lane entry penalty.
Briggs has managed to get the job done there. So now holds on to 13th. Get past Dylan Rudd. We go to OG Gear replay. Looking back at the tape. So if you're on the money, you're exactly on the money there, mate. Absolutely drilled him, and that's what sent him obviously way too fast into the lane. Hit the nail on the head, buddy. Well done.
Yeah, I've got a spotter that sent me that one though. He wanted us to have a look at that one, and looked at it. Has been. So at the moment, Hayden Veld and Jordan Ross. Again, this is a battle of drivers different and a little bit different in terms of the tyre strategy. Just suffering a little bit of track position continues. Hayden Veld's been the cork in the bottle for all those guys who did try and take the extra set of tyres early on. More drivers into the lane at this point in time. They're all starting to have a crack. That's Dylan Rudd actually in the pits. That's critical because that's going to release that entire pack. And Wayne Burke just got his way past Brady Myers. Finally gets that job done.
Now it's almost hurry up and wait now, isn't it? for the rest of these teams to head down the pit lane. You can see Bo Albert on screen. Dylan Rudd now exiting pit lane. So now with fresh boots.
Again.
Yeah, and that's just, how much of a difference was that? So 1 lap is giving him, how's that, what, 2-3 seconds?
Yeah, significant margin.
Yeah.
Dylan Ryan does the crossover, gets the job done on Jacob O'Reilly. Sorry, my apologies, that was Teo Sorono, who's been out there for a fair while. Jacob O'Reilly, by the way, is about 3 seconds ahead of Bo Albert. That's how much of the undercut has helped him out. But now he has to start paying that penalty is the problem that he's got.
Yeah, and the benefit that the likes of Phil Sell, Gilliam, Rosella, Madison Down, they've got track margin over everyone else where they can afford to stay out on these older tyres, even though there's going to be teams and drivers making up those times back in the field, but their gain will come later because they'll keep those fresh tyres towards the end of the race where the other drivers, their tyres will start to fall off. So it swings and roundabouts now, but we're seeing most of the drivers at the moment staying out, but a couple of people diving in.
Joe?
So,
Yep. Did he just touch the green on the inside of that corner? I think Joe might have a penalty coming his way. And the driver number 30 machine gets away with it. I've just seen an issue for Sebastian Vandel as well. Deeper in the field. Thompson gets into the lane. So here we go. Pit stops and the pit stop gains. We've hit the halfway mark on this race. And you just wonder, is Madison Down close enough to undercut everyone ahead of him? Because he's fuel saving too. He's been fuel saving this entire time. I just checked in with that car. And it was a big clutch as he ran down the hill.
Well, if you're looking after tyres, it's easy to save the fuel as well at the same time. So, but you're right, if he dives in just 1 lap difference between these guys, he will leapfrog them and go straight to the front.
Have a look at how tight this margin was for Job Stewart.
He got away
I
with
thought I
it.
saw green underneath those tyres. Well, I'm blind, but I'm not that blind.
Yeah,
Check out this one.
Yep. I'd like to see the likes of Down maybe jumping in before Rosella, Gilliam and Phil.
I agree.
Look at the garbage on the racetrack there. But yeah, just for him, just to do that 1 lap more and leapfrog these guys. But they're all waiting for each other to blink. I think if everyone does exactly the same, it's going to be hard to get the job done. So if it was me, Brady Myers is another position up the inside. He's done that beautifully. But yeah, if it was me, I'd be thinking about coming to the lane because we're over the halfway point of this race now, and just see what you can get as far as using that 1 or 2 laps of fresh tyre advantage.
Well, the thing is, if I was in Zach Rattray White shoes as Rick Kuznetsov nearly gets his nose chopped off, you just see how much struggle they're having to put the power down on these cars as well. And that's, again, the GC Sports Club cars just ailing a little bit. If I'm in Zach Rattray White's shoes, I'm 6th spot. I'm just outside that top group. I would have snuck off quietly very early. And the reason I would have snuck off is because I'm probably not the car they're necessarily thinking about too hard. I just put myself in the game. I'm not saying that, you know, you're a threat, but I am just saying that just make them think about you is the big thing. This is Luke Rosell looking back at Madison Down. Question coming in from YouTube chat. Is pit lane penalty from race control? No, automated by the sim. That penalty is, and that's Rick Kuznetsov getting wide into the junk. He's had some sort of drama there from Rick Kuznetsov.
He had them all locked up coming into that hairpin, so he was lucky not to make contact there, so got away with it. It's just insult to injury. You lock them up, and then you're on the marbles. Have a look at this from OG Gear drone cam. We're watching the bottom left-hand corner. And, she's just straight line it. Lucky not to make contact.
And he was having a go for a spot, and instead has lost 2. I'm about to get very vocal, and I'm about to get very annoyed. Car 18, Lachlan Cable, no further action, racing incident, car number 018, Jack Widders, pit lane entry. That was the pit lane entry. What? I'm sorry, but I can't understand. I can't fathom that one.
What you got to take into consideration too is when you're braking for pit lane, it's kind of you're on the racing line as well because you are having that wide arc. Do you know what I mean? So that's a tricky one. I think
but it's front to rear contact.
Yeah, but it's hard to know that that driver's checking up in front
No,
of you.
I know that's the reason that the race control gone with it. I can't, that one, because Whip is being penalised 40 seconds. Dylan O'Shea's just got himself a mechanical black. This will be a blown tyre for Dylan O'Shea.
I said not long ago.
And Madison Downs just finally got the job done for P3, so we do need to keep half an eye. Dylan O'Shea meatball flag. So this was going to turn one, crossed over, got out in the marbles for Luke Rosella. Just set him up, baited him into that one.
Yeah, I mentioned it earlier that some of these drivers
There's a flat tyre.
Yeah, they were getting a meatball flag.
I can hear it.
Because they couldn't look after their tyres. So that for me is a warning shot for the front runners. I want to be in. If I'm down, I'm in this lap just to try and leap Phil Sell and Gilliam.
I think it's the left rear tyre on Dylan O'Shea's car as a heads up. Jared Philsell's just picked himself up a flat tyre as well. I was just about to say, I think they're backing up to these guys.
No,
has he gone through? This is flat tyres we're seeing for this entire group. What is going on?
Yeah, see.
Why are they continuing it on? This is smart from these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I said Down should have done this like a lap or so ago, but or this lap. But you know, unfortunately, they're staying out. And wow, is Phil Sell going to be able to carry that pace to get to the lane next time round?
Well, have a look at how much Madison Downs closed.
Yeah. So Gilliam's going to do his absolute best to try and hold off Down.
Well, no, he's going to have a crack. Surely. He hasn't got a flat tyre. He should be okay. Unless his is about to blow. You're kidding me.
I don't know that Jared's got a flat tyre at the moment just because of the pace. Like, he's got a lot of pace on board. It's probably at the point where it's meatball. He'd have to be in this time by if he's got a meatball for it. Oh, Gilliam, no.
Yes. Gilliam's having a crack at him. He's going to show the nose. He gets there. He gets underneath him. This is for the race lead. He's on the marbles and there's nothing he can do about it. And now Madison Downs going to have a crack at him as well. Side by side. You can start to see how much issue they're having with these tyres. And Downs going to try and crisscross him. Does get the drive. Phil Sell is struggling to get this thing broke. Pulled up for the corners and turned in. Can't get there. Now Madison Downs turns it back underneath him. Gets the job done, not quite done. Yes, it will be done if he can keep it there, but he's going to get a knock for his troubles. Gilliam scoots away. Gilliam just pits this lap. This whole group will just pit this lap. There's no point continuing on now.
They have to. They're bonkers because they already know that the drivers behind have made that pit stop as well.
So the big drama is Phil Sell held them up. Could James Scott and Zach Rattray-White, one lap, is it enough?
Down, in.
They're still going. No, that's silly. That's silly.
Jared did a good job. I thought he was going to struggle to pull it up there. But, yeah, look, I would have been in if I was Down and Gilliam. But, they've rolled the dice and they're going to go that one lap further.
That's
at a
silly.
minimum, one lap further.
That doesn't make a whit of strategical sense. I've got to be honest. More meatballs are coming our way. So, Sebastian Vandel's got one as well. Did Rosella dive into the lane? Yeah, Rosella's in.
Briggs. Oh, my goodness. Like, yeah. We're going to see. Oh. Yeah, so this is Bo Albert and James Scott. They're battling it out. This is for position on the racetrack. Bo pitted earlier, and I think this is where James Scott has got maybe just that little bit of a fresher tyre. And Bo's probably going to struggle a little bit here to hold him off, and that is the case. So,
and there's the Lobs cars that just fed back in front. That was actually Luke Rosella that shot through in the foreground of that shot. And to be perfectly honest, Bo might have cost these guys a crack.
Oh, down!
Madison Downs managed to get through on Andrew Gilliam. So like I said, Gilliam just went. He hung onto it. They're going to make door-to-door contact. They're both out in the marbles. Runs him a touch wide. Gilliam's going to hang on to it.
Yes. So, more door-to-door action. We're seeing more and more of that. Maybe that's the way that the stewards are going to let these guys race. But I think Madison needs to be in this lap. You're probably going to see Gilliam dive in. And Madison doesn't really want that because he wants to have a clear pit entry. So I imagine they'll probably do different. If Gilliam goes in, Down will stay out. They're both going to come in. There you go.
And the big thing for Madison Down is he's run a touch tight in getting in there. He was saving fuel. He was saving bulk fuel in the early part of that run. But they've gone with the over. Phil Sell's now getting held up by the cars that haven't pit yet. Now he's trying to get over and under. That's Jordan Ross.
But look where he is on the racetrack. He's coming up to the final part of the section where pit entry is. And
Gilliam drove through his stall. Andrew Gilliam just missed his stall. That was critical. That is going to change the race. That is 100% going to change the race lead.
Yeah, well, Madison will definitely jump in, but you're going to see Phil Sell here. So here's our replay. He's gone too far, pulled up reverse. Oh, it was just a tiniest spot too.
And I'm looking at racing down. Scoots through on a lot of them. Now he's going to feed back in. And Jordan Ross is going to be to his inside, but he does. He needs to clear him. Got it done. And Gilliam lost track position to a lot of them. In fact, he's going to make contact with James Scott on pit lane exit. Scott sets a new fastest lap of the race. Racetrack is heating up here in Spain.
Advantage down. He's managed to make those positions. So now P2 behind Jared Philsell.
And Sebastian Vandel is 31 laps into this one without coming to the pit lane yet. And I believe he's got a meatball flag for that as well. So he's got to be in this lap. He cannot go any further.
You see the car moving around. He's struggling just with that car. So whether he likes it or not, he'll be in. But man, these drivers really taking it to limit. 20 laps to go in this one here for round 7 at Jerez. And it's all been tyres. You can see, look at the muck on the windscreen that you can see. Oh. Just smashing his way through. But that's just the tyre difference there. Tyre advantage just popped straight through at the inside.
And he's trying to hold him up. See what he can do with the remainder of the race, because this will be critical as well. Going to be some more guys who'll come into fresher tyres. Jordan Ross is just getting picked off by the top group at the moment, by the way. It is all happening in the middle of this one.
The race is certainly spiced up now that these teams have now got their tyres down. I reckon most of the field now will almost be done as far as putting on tyres to go to the end. Maloney up the inside. And he gets the job done.
Vandel's just been off the road. Vandel just dropped a whole bunch of garbage. Job Stewart is going to have contact now, and they'll feed out of the final corner. Now, we'll run down the start-finish straight. This will be Wayne Burke trying to feed his way through as well.
Miles will have the inside here.
Drops him up on the marbles. He tries to skate across it. He chops across the nose of Griffin Gardner. Gardner nearly got in the back of Wayne Burke. Now Wayne Burke is going to get squeezed again.
So Vandel, Crossaway, Ross, they're all got their pit stops now. They're doing so. This will be most of the field now pretty much cleansed.
We said this one was going to be a little bit boring. We might have got that wrong. Postlethwaite's in. Vandel's in.
You've got Zach Latro White.
And Andrew Gilliam will have to do a lot of hard work to get this one back, because he got to the lead. He went one lap too long. I just don't see why. And by the way, Brady Myers has just made contact with Job Stewart and escorted him wide down the hairpin. So now it'll be Stewart and Wayne Burke who are side by side when they get to the next corner. And the thing is, Job Stewart pit about 3 laps earlier than the rest of this pack, so he is on worn tyres-ish. And that was the touch of contact out the hairpin.
Well, we've seen it all night. Seems to be fair game as far as just getting in there and a little bit of contact. But yeah, Gilliam losing 4 seconds now, so he really needs to be eyes forward now and see what he can get from this in the last, what have we got, 19 laps of this race.
Curious when we get to speak to these guys later on which tyre it was that was copping the beating. And there goes W. Vandel feeding off in the background, I believe, to get his stop out of the way.
You'd probably think left rear, wouldn't you?
Sorry, was that Jake O'Reilly? It was one of the cars. Jacob O'Reilly has just finished second stint on the race for him. He into the pit lane. So his second pit stop, he'll start charging back through.
They'd be the happiest drivers in the world after running around on this old rubber, and then you're getting that first lap of that fresh new rubber. You feel like Superman.
You can absolutely burn through it. He was just on the back foot for the rest of the race. But for Job, he was sliding. So he came, he got a little bit of clean air, got back out there, found a hole for himself to just, tick away in. Now he's got to pay that price though.
And up front, Madison Downs now got that margin to nearly just over half a second now, so between him and Phil Sells. So I imagine now that Phil Sells at a point where he just needs to back off and look after his tyres, not worry about that Madison Down behind him. There's only a 1 lap difference between the tyres, but man, the garbage on that part of the racetrack too, holy smokes. But yeah, I don't imagine that Jared would be pushing too hard. I think they both know that they want to try and go the distance, but yeah, if Jared uses up his tyres too much, it could be advantage Madison Down, but I think they're going to play the holding pattern for the moment.
I don't understand it when they were having so many dramas on that in lap and he got by Phil, so why didn't they just drop into the lane? Because they knew that Jared had to pit. You gave him a free kick. You gave him the spot back.
Yeah, yeah, hindsight and being in the commentary box and not being in the race seat, you know, your mind plays wonderful tricks on you too when you're in the race seat, and you know, sometimes the most obvious decision doesn't always play out that way. But yeah, you're right. You know, I think it probably would have been a massive advantage if one of them had done it when Jared got that meatball. But nevertheless, I think the one that's lost out the most is Gilliam. He's managed to pick off 1 second down to 3 seconds to our race leader, Phil Sells. So he's the one that sort of lost out the most with Gilliam, because he was our race leader there at that point. So Damon Woods and Brady Myers. We've got Rick Kazestoff and Adam Briggs back here for 15th and 16th. It's a great camera shot too when you look back on that rear wing and you can see the car again just trying to tuck it underneath. But giving each other just enough racing room into that braking zone. But Briggs needs to be careful because he looks back and he can see Emily Jones just starting to close in too. So if these two get a little bit racy, it's a free kick for Emily. She'll just make up that margin because these two will get too carried away with you know, battling with each other, and that's what Emily would love to see, to be honest, is to see these two starting to battle it out. But I think it's going to be line astern for a little while, lap 34 of 51, as they just nurse these tyres to the end. But Briggs looking just that little bit more racy at the moment over Rick Kazestoff.
So we've actually gone digging, and with the power of the simulator, we think we can track down a blown tyre. So we're doing some adjustments to the cameras to see if we can't get that shot out to the rest of you guys.
Oh, this is all happening. Phil's on down. It's 0.2 of a second, so 0.3 of a second between Down and Phil Cell. And I said that, you know, Gilliam now moved into P3 as well. So
this is a pair of rear tyres. And this is the left rear tyre that we're looking at the moment of Sebastian Vandel. If you have a look closely, you can see the grooves in the tyre. As we zoom in, unfortunately, the camera's not going to help us all that much, but those grooves in the tyre, that's the tyre deforming. That is a flat tyre we've got there. So with the power of the simulator, we can see that tyre deforming, changing, and that is what a worn tyre in the simulator looks like. You can actually hear it. There's a very, very audible sound from inside the car or around the car, where the road noise all of a sudden just picks up massively in that area, that corner. So you can tell, you can hear it when the tyre's gone flat.
Funny, I've never had it, experienced it in a supercar. Unfortunately, I've had it in a NASCAR, and you just basically taste concrete once that happens.
Yeah, and there you go. That's confirmation. That left rear tire. You can see the groove in the back end of that tire there. That is a flat tire on the stand. Very little. Madison Down is fuel saving as he crawls up to the back of Jared Philsell, and he is coming. So we are going to get a stoush for the ages between two guys that have gone toe-to-toe on the track a number of times, including contract back at Detroit Belle Isle earlier this year. Job Stewart has picked himself up 15-second time penalty, which he's probably made his final stop, so that'll get added to his post-race time for contact with Glenn Postlethwaite. But the difficulty with that one is Postlethwaite was on very, very old tyres. at that point in time, because those two should never have been in the same region of the racetrack. And Job Stewart has had dramas down at turn 2, unfortunately. So night goes from bad to worse for him. He's now on the back foot in terms of tyres.
Did he get spun out, or did he get out on that marble? So we're going to go to a replay and see exactly what happened.
Something's just happened to Jake Blackball as well. That might be contact with Rick Kuznetsov, maybe? No, it's Rick Kuznetsov and Job Stewart. That's Kuznetsov there. So Rick dives across the right-hand side, and Job just sweeps in and keeps the boot into it. But look at that, had to refire the car as well. And Jared Filsell's having a lot of struggles with the rear end of his car. Madison Downs made contact with it just a few moments ago, and he's nearly got to the back bumper of him again. They're getting backed up slowly to Andrew Gilliam. Gilliam's just getting a bit of a free kick at both of these guys. Filsell is struggling. Now he's going to move it to the right-hand side. Is he just going to yield? No. No, he props him up.
Yeah, but is he struggling, or is he just trying to bring his teammate back into the game?
Oh, he's got around!
There he goes! So Madison Down just got into the back of Jared Filsell. What's happened to Jared? Was he checking up to try and slow down? But inevitably they've made contact, and that's cost him big time.
And the big thing is, if this turns into a penalty, the first thing I'm doing in Madison Down's shoes is I'm pointing out at the incident between Capel and Widders on the pit lane entry. Because if he's lifted off, because obviously the rear end of the car from Filsell's out of control, and I'm not sitting here and I'm going either way, right? I'm not ruling on this, but if I'm in Madison Down's shoes and I'm trying to protect myself, I'm going, hey, there was no penalty on Lachlan Capel's behalf on the occasion where Widders had to go on the pit lane. So look, a little bit of crossover, touch loose, he can't quite get to the gas.
Jared's in the middle of the racetrack too, mind you. He's trying, I think he's trying to hold up down. So
and that's my issue with it, right? I have no problem. I'm going to be honest. I have no problem with both of them getting a penalty. Capel earlier on, I have no problem with the penalty for Madison Down. But if there's no penalty for Capel, then there's no penalty for Down, and that's going to be my issue. You watch, there's going to be a penalty.
Yeah, look, I've said it many a times. You couldn't throw enough money at me to be a race steward, so I'm quite happy to sit in the commentary box and give my opinion. But yeah, it'll be interesting. But yeah, look, yeah, who knows? We'll see how the next few laps play out and see how the stewards, feel about it all.
Gee whiz, look, we're gonna see. Filsell's not going to win the race from where he is now. That is going to change things quite dramatically at the pointy end of town as well, as we'll throw a live crossover to the championship points at the moment. Gilliam started to track him down significantly, but remember that you're probably going to drag Madison down out of where he finishes.
Look at Anderson too. Anderson was P3 coming into this weekend, only a handful of points behind Filsell, and the dramas that he's had has now put him back to 7th place.
Yep. Back down to the cutoff though. Cody Deeth is just on the inside of that because he's not here tonight, unfortunately for him. Jordan Ross is just on the outside. Remember, Jordan Ross had that penalty. Oh boy, there's lots to talk about as we get into the back end of this one. This is an overtake. Brady Myers down the inside on Dylan Rudd. Gets it done.
So what, with lap 38 to 51, I think all eyes are on race control now to find out, if they believe that Filsell was checking up. I don't think he was having dramas as far as, that issue that was causing him to be so slow, but you could see that he was sort of in the middle of the racetrack, trying to make it difficult for Down, and maybe that was team games to bring Gilliam back into the fold. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting in these dying stages of this race to see what the stewards do and what race control say.
Yep. An interesting one. And it's going to be decided in the steward's office, unfortunately. I don't expect we'll be waiting too long to hear from it. But for the meantime, Damon Woods, sorry, I was just thinking Damon Woods is fallen outside the top 10.
The thing that I just thinking back to that replay is that, yeah, Phil Sell got touched, but it took him a long time to sort of get going again. I don't understand why it took so long for him to sort of pull reverse and get going again. Look, that just might have been me, obviously just not thinking about, what he has to do. And as far as, obviously, he wouldn't have been in a higher gear, so he would have only had to go down a couple of gears to find reverse and then get on with it. But whether he was blowing on the radio or whatever the case may be, but it felt like he was stationary for a lot longer than probably what he should have been.
Well, we're into the back end of the race. At the moment, and with 12 more laps left to run, what is the podium going to be looking like? Is this the day that Zach Rattray-White finally cracks the podium in the Logitech Pro Series? We can't say at the moment because we just got to watch. We've got to wait. But I tell you what, on pace at the moment, he's matching the cars ahead of him. At the back end of the stint, James Scott got by him. But that was right at the back end of the stint. That one for a podium could go down to the wire.
What I find interesting too is that when that incident happened with Down and Phil Sell, there was nothing in it between Down and Gilliam, but Down's managed to get that margin out to nearly 3 seconds, so 2.7 seconds at this stage. So is he thinking push on and use up whatever tyre he's got just in case he gets maybe a 5 or a 10-second penalty? I don't know.
Well, is it worth? What's it worth? Will be the question, I think.
Yeah. But I just see he's at a point, or maybe Gilliam thinks that Down's guaranteed to get a penalty, and Gilliam's just looking after his equipment, not worrying about Down. So there's a couple of ways that this could go. So it's going to be very, very interesting as we close in on with 10 laps to go. All eyes are on the steward's office at the moment. We're only seeing that the latest out of race control was Jacob O'Reilly got a 15-second penalty for contact with 97 Jake Blackhall. That was on lap 35. So
what's Jared Philsell got to recover? Because Bo Albert just ahead of him at the moment at the end of lap 23. Can Albert's tyres make it to the end of the race, given all the meatballs that we started to see with people blowing tyres?
Well, you'd think Philsell would kick off Bo Albert. Because I think he's probably a bit of a sitting duck here, unfortunately, with the tyre life he's got under him. Be a fly on the wall in the steward's office right now, eh?
For everyone else, let's say I'm just going to throw a number at it just to put it out there, so we can start talking about where we expect everyone to shuffle out. Let's say Madison Down gets 10 seconds for it. It'll drop him back to 5th spot, and I'll lead everyone inside that top 5 one spot. And Jake Maloney's right on the cusp with that one.
Do you want to be Madison Down or do you want to be Jared Philsell at this point?
I can guarantee.
As far as a penalty outcome, do you know what I mean? Like it's obviously Jared's lost a lot. He's back in 8th position, so it's cost him. He was our race leader, but has Madison dodged a bullet? I guess we wait and see.
We can only wait for the resolutions to come on in. And for the meantime, this little battle pack is going to be probably where we keep the eyes for the moment. There's another one just in behind them because Kuznetsov, Briggs, and Emily Jones are back all together again as well. And Briggs just got this move done on Rick Kuznetsov.
And I'd spoken about this a couple laps ago when we were looking at that rear-facing cam to Briggs. It was like, that's what Emily wanted to see, is these guys battling it out, so it brings her a little bit closer into the action. Oh! Off onto the gravel. Who was that?
Right. Dylan Rudd made a mistake. So he's
the
off
marbles.
into the marbles.
Yeah.
Gets outside track limits. Brings it back on in behind them.
He loses 3 spots. Spear. Oh, we've just heard from the stewards. So Madison Down will receive a 15-second penalty for contact with Jared Filsell on lap 37. Oh, more contact there! Into the first turn.
Wayne Burke.
Oh, it's still not over yet. Oh, locked up.
Lets them go through. A little bit more contact, and Dylan Rudd argy-bargy back through. But that was actually Damon Woods. Stepped aside, tried to redress.
So a 15-second penalty, that puts Madison Down back to 9th position behind Jared Filsell.
Yeah. Well, for now, depending upon how Filsell's race at the end of this one goes. So it'll be 8. Madison Down. Andrew Gilliam knows he's not going to cross the line in the lead at the moment, but he'll be making sure he's got tyres at the back end. That will be his only marker that he'll be keeping an eye on. And the other thing to think about as well is how much the fuel weight burned through those tyres.
Burt trying to get the job done here. Oh, they're still side by side. So Dylan Rudd having a crack.
Damon Woods is going to try and get involved.
3. Oh, he was. He's going to maybe snaffle both of them. He's got to the inside. Now he's on the outside of the racetrack. He has. He's grabbed both positions.
So he catches his way back through it as Damon Woods. Oh. And this group as well, by the way, is about 17 seconds at the start of the last lap behind race leader, Madison Down. So they're actually all costing each other one more spot. Down the inside, yeah, Filsell gets it parked up and gets it done on Bo Albert, and Bo didn't fight that one too hard. He recognised his battle's probably a little bit more with Brady Myers behind him in the dying stages. The biggest thing for Bo is he got clear track for an extended period of time. That really, really helped him just chug away from the group that he was in. It's paid big dividends for Bo.
Oh, lap 43.51, round 7 Jerez. There hasn't been a lot happening as far as good hard racing, but there's been a little bit of drama, and the tyres have certainly made things very interesting. And you can see just the muck and the build-up and the marbles on this racetrack. It's really given these drivers something to think about, knowing that they just can't push 10 tenths every single lap. You've got to look after these tyres to go the distance. And surprisingly, a couple of drivers caught out with those meatball flags as far as how much damage they've had to their tyres. Incredible.
Well, 9 laps to go on this one. 14 laps into the stint for James Scott. He's got the fastest lap of the race. It was a 1:45.254. Last time by, 1:47.174. He's about 1.9 seconds slower than his fastest lap after 14 laps on those tyres. That's how much the fall off. The chunk of that is the first couple of laps on the tyres falling off quite significantly.
Yep. And speaking of falling off, it's Rudd. I think he's in trouble here because he's got the likes of Briggs, Kasetsov and Emily Jones right there to snaffle him. So he's really struggling with that car. I don't think it'll be too much longer before he drops these positions, unfortunately. As we go on board with Briggs. We'll look up and move up the inside. No, thinks better of it. But I don't think it'll be too much longer. Look at it. He just can't get the power down. He's really struggling.
I think they're all struggling at this point in time.
Here he goes. So he's got that tyre grip. He'll get up the inside. He didn't quite get enough. He'll get the job done now here. And of course, got to be careful if you're the car on the outside. Look at those marbles. You can't afford to race too hard because you end up just being a passenger. So he's dropped one spot there. But now he's still got the likes of Rick Kasetsov and Emily Jones. He's got to hold off too.
Well, track temps died a little bit. It's been up 55 degrees Celsius for times during this one. And at the moment, we look backwards from Dylan Rudd as he continues to ail. He just doesn't get it parked up on the apex. Drifts it a fraction wide in the middle of the corner. and grabs the marbles, and that's where the drama is for Dylan Rudd. He just can't quite get the car positioned the way that he'd like. You've got to be so accurate at this end of the stint because the lack of grip is less than a couple of centimeters either side for Dylan Rudd. He's gone down a few more gears.
Yep.
Than he necessarily would have liked. He skates at wide, and that's the second time for Dylan Rudd that he's been very, very wide at that point in time. Now it's back to 16 spot. Was there a helping hand here? I reckon he's done it all on his own.
Yeah.
Yep, no car near him.
Yep, got in, locked the rears. That's so multiple things. He's gone in deep. He might have just pulled a gear early and it's locked the rear a little bit, but his tyre life hasn't helped, and unfortunately, he was just a passenger. Finds himself back in 16th.
Damon Woods just picked himself up a 5-second penalty for contact, and it was reduced to a 5-second penalty because the redress was made. So it's still penalty picked up, but he's reduced the severity of it. Is important in that one, so he will fall outside the top 10, you would imagine. There is every opportunity. In fact, 5-second penalty for Damon Woods at the moment is going to drop him 4 spots because that group right where he is at the back end of the top 10 is all quite close together.
A number of these teams will be glad to see the back of Jerez, I think, after lap 51. They'll be quite happy to get out of here, I think, because it's certainly been a testing time for everyone involved to get 51 laps done around here. And a little bit of a mix-up, you know. There's no compulsory CPS, so it's just, you know, you do the best you think you can to get to the checkered flag first, and if you have to pit once, twice, 3 times, whatever the case may be, that's on you. And it's certainly made for some interesting racing with these warmer temperatures, and the tyre dig that we've got certainly made things a little bit spicy for them.
Well, at the moment, James Scott's trying to battle his way onto an effective podium, trying to hunt down Zach Rattray-White. But have a think back, for Zach Rattray-White, what the history of this car has been. Last year, cracks his way into this series. The year before that, he wouldn't have been even thinking that he's a shot at being a part of the Logitech Pro Invitational. So in 18 months, not only has he clambered his way into the series, but he started at the back end with Vermilion Motorsports when he made it here. He climbed his way through, and then the opportunity to come and work with Eclipse Sport happened. Now he's on the podium at the moment, but he's got to get it done. There have been so many drivers that have worked with him along the way. And I can tell you, I was there to watch him make a few of his first starts, and at points in time there, he was in the middle of the back half of what they call a Pro-Am field, you know, an amateur field, really. And he's worked his way over the last 2 years. That's what you can do. If you put the work in, if you're willing to make the sacrifices, if you're willing to look at the data, to ask the questions about yourself in terms of drivability. And for him, he should have been on the podium back at Sabrin.
Yeah, I think he's got some concerns though in these dying laps, because it looks like James Scott, who's just the fastest lap of the race too, he's looking a little bit racy here at the moment. So he's going to have his work cut out for him to hold off James Scott. It might say P4 and 5, but you take into consideration of Madison Downs' penalty, it effectively moves Gilliam to first, Rosella in second, and then Zach Rattray-White holding on for P3 at this stage. And half a second in it, and James Scott will be very hungry to get the job done on Zach. But Zach, like you said, desperately wants that podium.
And he does. But just the way he's gone about it as well has been right there in contention, quick and consistent the whole time. You know, you and I could be out there. The story of Zach Rattray-White says you and I could be out there one day.
Oh, jeez.
That's a lot of work, though.
Hey, I could be out there, but I'd be dead last and probably 4 laps down at this stage. But pace that these guys have got on me, I tell you. But yeah, mate. Look, and well, that just shows, you know, sim racing. It just comes down to, you know, if you put in the work, you know, regardless of, you know, some people out there that have got ridiculous natural talent, like the likes of Jared Philsell and Madison Down, and there's other people out there that have to work away at it. But you know, never say never. And for him to be the position where he is at the moment, that's a brilliant job. These are the best sim racers in supercars in Australia. And we're blessed to have the talent that we've got in our Logitech V8 Pro series. And yeah, it's no mean feat. When you're racing here for a podium, that's a massive day at the office when you look at the likes and the names that we've got throughout, throughout the entire field.
And now he's just going to try and hang on to it. Crosses the start-finish line. There'll be 4 laps to go. There'll be about 16, 17 kilometres left to run. That's what he's got to try and hang on to it and defend. And every single time the car behind, I can tell you James Scott just touched the marbles in the entry to turn 11. So that's just a little bit of a free kick. You just take a little bit of a breath, a little bit of a sigh of relief. Have a look at the couple cars just ahead of them as well. They're starting to make a little bit of ground potentially on Rosella and Andrew Gilliam. That's the margin.
I wonder at this point of the time whether James Scott's just used up that tyre that he had as we go to the shot of Madison Down, who unfortunately, he's going to serve a penalty, a 15-second penalty at the end of this race. So he's just basically pushing as hard as he can. He doesn't need to save any tyres. He just wants to try and gap the rest of the field by as much as he can. So 15 seconds, that'll put him into P7. So it was P9 at one stage earlier, so P7 at this stage.
Luke Rosella, his only win in the series came at Sandown in the co-driver races. Got lucky, a little bit lucky. He was there, he was quick, he was inside the top 10, but then got lucky. He was the first car with the opportunity to pit back in 2023 at Sandown. First car that was in the right space on the racetrack when the safety car got called. Took the free kick, had to do some work, had to drive it past Dylan O'Shea, got it done. So for him, what it would mean, have a look at the year that he's had. Qualifying hasn't gone his way. Qualifies 4th today, finally stitches it all together. Emily Jones and Rick Kuznetsov still battling the way.
Great battle. Emily had really good pace out of that turn, and Rick just had to cover. He could see what pace she had, and unfortunately, he just put the car in the right place, and Emily had nowhere to go. So these two are really going to take it to the end here. It's funny, Emily, you were talking to Emily before we started this race, and she said, I think I'm in the top 10. She was in 8th coming into tonight. So obviously the points will fluctuate a little bit as the night's gone on, but she's done an incredible job. She qualified her way into the series, and she's having a good little battle there.
Well, have a think about hard charges as well. As we talked about Dylan Pereira last time out, off the back row of the grid. He blew a motor in qualifying. And think about for Brenton Hobson as well, it was contact with that car on lap 1. Safety car might have saved him a little bit. He's driven through the field, 16 spots he's gained.
He's not done here either. He's probably looking at 17 here at this stage as he goes into the braking zone at turn 1. Oh, Rudd's gone in deep. He's going to... Oh, Rudd covered. Hobson almost got it there up the inside. Again, we spoke about how Rudd's really struggling with his tyre grip. Oh.
Who's that out and around the outside, in and around them at this point in time?
Not over.
Sebastian Blundell. It's a lap car, and Brenton Hobson's just been elbowed a touch wide. So Blundell's just watching these guys and trying to stay out of the way. Rudd is just covering him everywhere and saying, right, you want to get by me? You've got to put it on the marbles to get it done. If Hobbo can find the drive through the middle of the corner, cannot find it. 2.5 laps left to go.
He's got the pace. He just needs to be smart about it. He knows he's got the pace. So don't do anything silly here, Hobbo, and you'll get yourself another position. That'll be 17 spots gained. Oh, Rudd! He's gone in deep. He hasn't been able to hold on position. So there he goes, Hobson now. They're going to race side by side, trying to get round the outside again. Watch it out for the marble. And he's got the job done. Just the grip there he's got. And look at him just trying to hold on, Rudd.
Finally gets the job done, but Dylan Rudd is just in free fall at the moment on those tyres. He was one of the earliest of this group to come to the pits. But the problem is the other drivers that also came around that marker, they all came back for another stop. So he was responding to them, but they were on a different strategy entirely. He's just got to hang on to this thing, just find it to the finish line. Dylan O'Shea just in behind. He's up 7 spots. Andre Yusuf is plus 15 at the moment. There is so much going on because there are tyres just coming away from the tread at the moment. And I guarantee you there'll be more cords of tyres showing when this one's done.
Have a look at the times, Stuart. This is what I find very interesting. Jared Filsell, 14.3 seconds behind the leader. Madison needs 15 seconds. Can you imagine if he gets that job done and finishes in front of Jared Filsell, considering everything that's happened? There's only half a second between them, and there's 2 laps to go.
Madison down, pulled out 0.3 of a second on the most recent lap over Jared Filsell. So he is making ground in that capacity. Filsell is having a war with that car to try and pull it up. They're all struggling to try and pull him up. So he could have just been a little bit more patient, found his way by, but there was an opportunity. And this one's still on it as well. And Emily Jones and Rick Kuznetsov still battling over who gets rights to enter turn 6, sorry.
Crossover, but just can't quite get it done. A shot to Madison. He has just given it everything. Oh, massive damage there to Dylan Rudd. We spoke about how much he was struggling on tyres. The front of the car's missing, so he's had massive contact. Obviously a meatball flag.
What I got it. Luke Rosella's just got by Andrew Gilliam. There's a change for P2 on the racetrack. Andrew Gilliam's just had a mistake getting into the final corner. Now remember, he actually came a fair bit later, but he was the best on tyres in that first stint out of that front group, barring Madison down. You take him out of the margin. What's going on with Gill? Has he just pushed the tyre too hard? Run down to the final corner. Rosella parks it up down the inside. Not much he can really do about it. He's out and he's in the marbles. Luke Rosella, it's been trials and tribulations for him. Last season, I think in the first 5 races, he blew 3 motors. Blew 3 separate engines last year. It was a struggle for him. He had to really work to get the car back underneath him. It's been the same at the start of Gen 3.
Also, 15 seconds is the margin.
So Madison Down's done the work. He's gotten back ahead of Jared Filsell after the penalty. Damon Woods is now losing spots as well. So he's now having issues as the tyres start to fall off the cars at the back end of the race. So we'll watch for Madison Down across. Then we'll wait 15 seconds to find out where he finishes. And Dylan Rudd's having a lot more issues. So remember, we were missing the front end of this car. This is back when he had it.
Oh, no.
Has he lost it on the straight? Yeah, he has.
And ripped the front off it. And that's where we caught that live action. As we go to the live pictures now, Madison Down just trying to get through the last couple of corners. He's not going to take the win. He's got 15-second penalty in front of him. At this stage, he'll finish in front of Filsell and possibly come home in 6th. But we're just going to wait for everyone to get to the line. What an amazing race we've seen here for Jerez for round 7. It's Madison Down who crossed the line, but we're going to go back. And it's a Lobs 1-2.
They'll get it done, but critically, Luke Rosella gets his first ever sprint race win in the Logitech Pro Invitational. Win number 2 for him. He will be over the moon about this one. Adam Briggs is going to have a go at Wayne Burke at the final corner. Did he manage to make the corner? He did. He makes the marbles, though, and around goes the rear. And Wayne Burke will turn it back underneath him. He will finish inside the top 10. What a race from that one. And Jared Filsell, 16 seconds back off of Madison Down, unfortunately. So Down will still finish ahead of him. And have a look at the wheel spin out of the last corner. Don't do too much of that, boys. You might have missed it. But we got to catch it for Dylan Rudd. And it's Jordan Ross is going to get him.
Yeah, it's that straight line speed. Oh, no, they made contact. I think they're both happy that this race is over with. Man, Rudd lucky to get home with the damage that he had there. Oh, contact here. He's been turned around. And we're hearing, he may have a tyre down. So, oh, man.
Sebastian Vandel, after being a lap down, decided he was going to pit and throw fresh tyres, and it goes fastest lap of the race. Well, he'll be the only car that finishes 1 lap down, and he will finish his goal.
Well. There you go.
And these boys crawling around the back will finally finish. Just having a bit of fun. Because they don't need those tyres anymore.
Yeah, never want to see those tyres again.
Oh, what happened? What happened in that race?
Everything. Everything happened in that.
The critical factor is you'll take Madison down out of that number 1 position, and everyone down to Jake Maloney will slide up 1 spot, and then he'll feed back in 6th spot. So Luke Rosella gets it done over Andrew Gilliam, and he had to send it on his teammate too to get the job done, and he did it, parked it up, job done for him. Had to earn it on the racetrack, and he did just that. Andrew Gilliam will get home in P2, so he'll celebrate another podium. And then from Zach Rattray White, how important for him? His first ever podium in the series as well. That is huge for the Rat.
Yep.
James Scott home in 5th. Jake Maloney will become 5th spot. My apologies. Madison Down will become 6th. Jared Philsell, Brady Myers inside the top 10. Remember after that incident, all the way back on the race start, getting in between his teammate and on the race car. Griffin Garner, Bo Albert round out the 10. He actually hung on quite well in the end, Bo Albert.
He did. Yeah, because he was an early
very
stopper.
on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wayne Burke from Adam Briggs, Damon Woods, Emily Jones, Rick Kuznetsov. That battle. So Emily Jones come out on top in that one.
Yeah.
Did manage to get the job done on Rick Kuznetsov. Brady Baldwin, that'll be his series best result. He'll finish against just ahead of one of his teammates in Brenton Hobson. Hobson will climb through the field for him after starting out of 31st spot. Will gain 17 spots. Andre Yusuf from Matt Bowler and Dylan O'Shea will round out 20, which is important. Dylan O'Shea sits dead last in terms of the points at the moment. That's a very, very important night on points for him. And we'll have a look at Dylan Pereira just outside the 20 from Jacob O'Reilly. Dylan Rudd, my word, after damage to his car, 24 spot. Lachlan Capel from Tyson Broad, Haydenveld, Ian Ford, Ryan Jones, and Brian Borg finishing 30th. And then here we get the drivers with the Knights that went a bit sideways. Glenn Postlethwaite, Ethan Grigg-Galt. And Grigg-Galt had a lot of repairs to get done. Toe Serrano tried the 2-stop strategy, didn't necessarily work out for him. Jake Blackhall blew a tyre at the end. Sebastian Varndell fell off the lead lap and went, yep, we're going to go for that fastest lap. Job Stewart didn't finish the race, 15 laps down. Jack Wittes also not finishing after that penalty, unfortunately, entering the pit lane. Then we cast our mind back 50 laps ago. Yeah. The safety car actually did more laps than them. For Josh Anderson and Kurt Stenberg retiring before they made turn 1 for Anderson was about halfway through the lap for Kurt Stenberg. Gee whiz.
Incredible. So a game changer as far as the points go for Anderson. And of course, Jared Philsell finishing back in 7th, Madison Down in 6th. So that's going to make things just that little bit tighter at the top. But boy, oh boy, this did have a little bit of everything, didn't it?
Certainly did. And we're going to have another replay. Have a look at a fair few pieces. And there's also a penalty for Jordan Ross as well. He got a few penalties to come later on the piece. 15 seconds for Jacob O'Reilly. This is the halfway point of the lap. Remember, he catches these guys in the next couple of corners. Or you'll get up, make contact. Madison Down was 15-second penalty. Damon Woods, 5-second penalty, which we talked about. Jordan Ross, 5-second penalty as well.
Look at the ground. And this is what tyres means to a driver. You can see just how much Rudd is struggling. And look at the game. You could barely see him in the picture. And now he's right there. And, of course, we saw it as the live pictures were. It was a drag race where he managed to get past Rudd. Of course, Rudd in all sorts of drama with the amount of damage he's got to the front of that Camaro. But the tyres, absolute custom. Trying his best, make him go to the outside. And here it's just a drag race.
It's probably worthwhile going back and grabbing a shot of that Lachlan Capel and some Wittes incident as well. The Capel's on board. I do want to have another look at that one from a different angle. That was touchy. But just a point noting was that watching Dylan Rudd there and the way that he was across the track in front of Jordan Ross was that he was looking to try and cover Ross off going down the final corner. The difference between a car heading into the pit lane and a car covering you on the inside heading to the final corner is very little, except for how early they brake. And that's the other angle that it's worthwhile looking at. I might eat my words from a little bit earlier on.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's one of those things, obviously the driver has to check up to make pit lane. But then, if the drivers around you aren't aware that he's making that pit entry, the driver in front has to check up. They've got to make pit entry. So it's one of those racing deals, I think, where unfortunately they they made contact. You touched on the fact that it's that nose to tail incident that you would look at, but I guess you've got to take into the circumstances that he does have to brake for pit lane. So at the end of the day, he was a bit of a passenger, unfortunately, and I guess that's the way the steward saw it.
Yeah, and that'll be the thing. The other point that I sort of had a look at. So what we need to grab is the onboard shot from Capel right here, because I think Witter sort of hovers towards the middle of the road just a little bit. But have a look at how close together these cars are, and as they come off of this corner, pit lane feeds off to the left right here, and there's a gap to the inside there.
That's not a gap to make a move. You can't fit a car length up the inside there, I'm afraid. I think, you'd probably have to, if you break it down, bit by bit in slow-mo, you may think about it, but it kind of reminds me of, what we saw with Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri at Canada, There's no move there up the inside.
No, yeah.
But that's not a move up the inside. So it's a racing incident, unfortunately. He's it's one of those things.
Yep, it's worthwhile looking at, worthwhile noting. It's time to chat to our podium. You want to start from the top and work our way down, or from the bottom and work our way up? Well, decision's been made for us by our producer. We're going to have a chat to a man who has been biding his time, working his way forward, and he thought this moment was going to come his way until the very last lap of the season opener all the way back at Sebring. Zach Rattray White, it has been a long, long time coming, but congratulations on your first ever podium in the Logitech Pro Invitational, brother.
Yeah, thanks. It's probably not the way I probably wanted to get it, but a result is a result, so I'll take it.
Mate, that race looked about one of the most challenging ones we've had thus far this season. Hanging onto the tyres looked just tough. It looked at the back end of that stint like your tyres just all of a sudden just dropped off dramatically. And diving into the pit lane, gets it done, get the spot back off of James Scott. You just got lucky, I suppose, with where you fed back out in terms of track position.
Yeah, it was probably one of the worst races I've ever had to deal with. It was horrific on every way possible. Like the fuel save along with the tire save was just not fun at all, and I pretty much got a bit lucky. The car sucked in dirty air. I just didn't turn at all. Kind of needed to feed back out in front. I was a little short on fuel, so I had to save a little bit. But yeah, I don't want to do anything like that ever again.
Well, mate, we're off to Road Atlanta next time out, and then it's on to the Enduros. I think one of the tougher things is this is a unique series in that there is, if you have a look at GT3 series, it's co-drivers right the way through. If you have a look at, Porsche Cup and those sorts of things, it's very rare that you actually have to hand over to a co-driver. What's the preparation been like over at the Eclipse stable to try and get you that second person to sit in the seat alongside? And at the moment, how's the faith looking as we look to our endurance calendar?
Well, we couldn't even get through a full stint tonight without getting a meatball, so God knows how we're going to have to do that in the Enduros. But yeah, the co-driver thing is it's interesting at the moment because my co-driver is currently a VM driver. So I had Seth last year and he's coming back with me this year. So he did an amazing job last year. Like I couldn't ask him to do any better job at all. So faith is through the roof, but it's just all comes down to how the car pans out, I think.
All right, well, we'll let you start to deal with some of those discussions away in the background. Keep us in the loop about the co-driver pairings, but most importantly, mate, first opportunity to give a big shout out and a big thank you to anyone in the V8 Supercar in Logitech Pro Invitational. Who do the big thank yous have to go to for you?
The rest of the Eclipse guys for putting up with me. Thanks for the car that was I wanted to turf it after about lap 5, so that was good. And yeah, thanks for our sponsors as well.
Mate, congratulations on getting it done here tonight. Go and enjoy with the boys because I know that's going to be a popular podium for you.
Just got it.
Righto, Mr. Sandman is going to take one step further forward. He's going to have a quick chat to Andrew Gilliam as finished second place here tonight.
Yeah, Andrew, congratulations, P2. I know it was congratulations or commiserations. It was a great battle between yourself and Luke Roselli, your teammate there in those dying stages, but you were in the thick of it pretty much all night, mate.
Yeah, there's a lot of mistakes I made in that race, so I've got to really debrief with myself and look back on those mistakes, and like 3 or 4 1%ers really cost me, being able to hold on to a victory there. I know in hindsight, Madison and Jarrell looked like, it was their race, but I need to clean up just a few little things there. I think the lack of grip and the fuel save and everything like that exposed a few weaknesses and some race experience I've got. So yeah, I'll just have a good think about it moving forward and practice. It's my second ever race using JRT to work out fuel and things like that. So I've still got a lot of work on my end to improve almost the procedural elements of the race, really.
And to add insult to injury, it's one of the easiest things to do. You just overshot your pit box just by the tiniest margin. And that always sucks, doesn't it? You missed it by nothing, but you just have to pluck reverse, pull it back that tiny bit and get your pit stop done. So, yeah, those things are super easy to do, but hurt you, don't they?
Yeah, well, I actually practice overshooting my box, funnily enough. So I feel like I minimized the time loss there, but mistakenly I clicked a liter of fuel out of my fuel flow to make up for it, and I was like probably 80% throttle a whole laps trying to hold on to Woggo, but he was still like, when he got through with a 1 lap tire delta, he still had better tire than me when I actually started to push again. So it's a very deserving win. He's done a fantastic job.
And a good job all around from the Lobs cars, because like you said yourself, Rosella and even Jared Filsell, up until sort of that drama that he had, those cars were looking really good on track.
Yeah, man, it's a real testament to the team. We've got Brody Kostecki really pushing hard in the background. Probably would come in and show us all up if he entered a race, but yeah, he's really helping mastermind our strategy and our setup. So yeah, massive thank you, him and Thomas McMillan as well there, helping with the race strategy. So yeah, it's a massive team effort, and to be sort of 1, 2, 3 on track, 1, 2, 4 in qualifying, it's just a real testament to the effort we're putting in each and every race.
Well, good points day, mate. Well done. And while you're keeping those thanks, you may as well keep going. Mate, is there anything else you want to thank before we say goodnight to you?
Yeah, once again, thank you to the commentary team and Race Control, all the organisers for putting on such an incredible event week in, week out. So yeah, thank you everyone, and massive shout out to the team again and to Whitey's Pies for the support. Thank you guys.
Well done, mate. So I might have to catch up and say good day to you at Queensland Raceway next weekend, eh? So all the best, buddy. And well done on tonight, and look forward to catching up as the next round for the Super Sprint.
Yeah, mate. Looking forward to it.
Cheers. Well, there you go, Scotty. That's Andrew Gilliam in P2, but I reckon you've got one happy lad that's behind the wheel. I'll let you catch up with our race winner and Luke Rosella.
Well, Luke, it's been a long time between drinks. It was the win all the way back at Sandown in 2023. First time getting it done in a sprint race format, mate. The team have talked you up the last couple of rounds and just said he's starting to click. It's starting to come his way. If he can get qualifying right, he'll be on. Well, you got qualifying right tonight, mate, and proof's in the pudding.
Yeah, thanks, Scotty. You got the stat wrong there, mate. I won Bathurst last year. So that's right. Yep. Yeah, mate, I'm so happy. It's a big relief to finally get a sprint race win. That was actually one of my goals this year, after bagging a couple of enduro wins over the last couple of years. But yeah, really, really happy. Maybe a little bit of the shine taken off, not winning it on the racetrack. But hey, that's racing, and we'll definitely take a win. I'm so happy.
Mate, talk to us a little bit about the tyre wear, because one of the things that Andrew Gilliam said just before was, look, we had the tyre offset on him, and he just drove supremely. He outdrove us. We had to do some fuel saving there, but mate, he just drove all the way on by. That seemed to be the massively challenging factor for everyone tonight.
Yeah, looking at the timings, I think we had probably the second best car in terms of looking after the tyre. I'd love to have what Mads had in his thing, because yeah, his thing was a rocket ship at the end of the stint. We're probably maybe a couple of tenth quicker than him in the first, say, probably 15 laps. But then he had some unreal pace at the end, and yeah, we were in struggle street at the end of that first stint. It was pretty crazy.
Mate, tyres actually blowing at the back end of that first stint. It's the first time it's happened. does this sort of now hang a little bit of a tyre drama over the Enduros moving forward? Because Phillip Island's also a very, very high tyre deg track.
Yeah, it's definitely going to make it interesting. I remember having this conversation with the boys at the start of the year that when utilising the full tank, it's going to make Enduros interesting. But I mean, it really depends on how hot the track is. I think if we ran a cooler track tonight, I think tyres probably wouldn't have been a big factor. So, I mean, we are running the Enduros in September, so I think it's going to be a bit hot at Phillip Island, Sandown, and Bathurst. But yeah, they'll definitely be interesting when we get there.
Mate, finally, the floor is all yours. Who would you like to thank for getting it done for you? I think there's a lot of work in the background that who have you worked with over the last couple of months to get you into this shape, and who have you got to thank for really building you up until this point as well?
Yeah, well, Gilly's done all the sponsors for me, so I'll first like to thank Thomas, my spotter, tonight. He was very good on the cans. Also want to thank Bush. He was also our sort of co-spotter. He was very helpful. Found me a couple tents in qualifying as well. Want to also thank Gilliam and Jared, of course, for all the work that they do throughout the week to give us a very good car and also help me with my driving. And also I'll just thank again Whitey's Pies for their support.
Mate, congratulations on getting it done. I know you'll enjoy this one. I know it's going to be quite a popular race win for you as well. So go off and enjoy and get the head down, because it's not going to be too long and we'll be back into the sprint format at Road Atlanta.
Thanks, Scotty.
Well, that brings us to the conclusion of the summer swing here in Jerez, but we are back to America for the next round of the Logitech Pro Invitational. Road Atlanta is where we are off to, and it's the super sprint format. We'll have 2 races for you coming on Wednesday night, 27th of August. Coverage to begin from 7:45 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. But Sam, man, tires, cords, mate, marbles, drama, steward's office. How many buzzwords do I have to say at the back end of this one?
Mate, there was all those, and then everything else you start thinking about. We didn't even get to turn 1 before we had championship implications. You think about poor old Josh Anderson getting caught up, so that's hurt him in the points. I said coming in and into Enduros that, the points can play a big part in missing out, and then we saw the likes of Madison Down and Jared Filsell having contact. So, they're missing out on a big chunk of points as well. So it's been huge. Jerez really turned it on, but next time we go racing, it's super sprint time at Road Atlanta. I can't.
Well, that race, the first time by, produced our first ever non-Jared Filsell race winner in 2025. Join us in a couple of weeks' time as we try and find out who it's going to bring to us later on in the series. Will somebody else write their name into history in the first year of Gen 3 race cars? And then we start to consider the Enduros. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another race courtesy of the Logitech V8 Pro Invitational.
We are gaming fanatics. Our goal has never been to just play games. We think it's much better to feel like you're actually in the game. This feeling is what drives us as we create world-class gaming chairs. Our one aim, give you a brand new gaming experience. Help you move in perfect sync with everything on screen. Make sure you're having a ton of fun. It took us decades to achieve this, and we're still not satisfied. Every day, we wake up to get better. We'll never stop designing the very best to help you be your best. When it's all said and done, our job's only done if you're in full flow and focused on your victory. May you win, and win big.
Weekend in, weekend out, Motorsport Australia officials are making waves. From waving flags, waving cars through pit lane, or responding to a wave for help. Wave hello to new lifelong friends. Who knows, you might just make waves around the world. Ride the first wave. Search Motorsport Australia officials today.
Hi guys, Lockie Dalton here from Tickford Racing. We're in our wildcard Gen 3 car. Something really cool, what we've got here is our MPI sim wheel. So configured with our Logitech button box. As you can see, it is identical to our Gen 3 wheel. Really cool for the sim world and the supercar world as well. Can't wait to get home and use this. As you can see, you can nearly configure this exactly the same as we would have our supercars. So exact same material, something I'm really keen for.